Pad for his time in English football. He's settled in so well. If he could win a cup, people will be rating him as one of the top managers as well. So it's tantalising how close it is. 3 big performances, 3 wins, and they could be lifting the FA Cup. Just 1 win here today. They go to Wembley.
What a setting it is. Craven Cottage, the sun is shining. Spring lunchtime sunshine in West London. Both sides fancying their chances here. A full house as well. Fulham against Crystal Palace for a place in the FA Cup semi-finals with Mark and Con.
Thanks very much. We are right in amongst the Fulham fans there. When Mark was talking to Mark Chapman there was the gentleman behind you. I want to say it low because he'll hear us, but he was waving the flag, and every time he waved it, it hit you on the head. And I thought you did quite well, Mark Swatcher, to keep your composure there, but that is how in amongst the fans we are here.
We are very much right in the middle of it. We're right near the centre-half line, which is actually fantastic. We do have a couple of pillars in our way, but they're only small little obstacles, but it is all set. I mean, even just to follow on from that, you talk about the fact that Fulham, Bournemouth, Forest, Villa, they all still, and Brighton, have chances of finishing European places on top of getting to an FA Cup final.
Yeah, big prize at stake. We are underway under the Saturday lunchtime sunshine on the banks of the Thames. We are into the season running now. After the relative calm of the international break, we now enter the frenzy that is the closing stretch of the 24-25 season. The games are going to come thick and fast now, and both Fulham and Crystal Palace here hoping that they'll have another 2 FA Cup games to go this season, 2 games that would both be played at Wembley. Here come Fulham on their first attack of the day. Robinson gives it to Willian. Right foot delivery and looking for Muniz, slightly behind him. Sander Berge stretches one of his long extended legs, gets possession back as Palace try to clear, and Joachim Andersen, who's playing against his former club, gives it to Iwobi, who has started this match on the right wing with Willian on the left. Good noise, good atmosphere. They made a big effort, Fulham, to get the fans in early today for this early kick-off, and that seems to have paid off. Sometimes it can be a sluggish start to a lunchtime game, but this one feels a proper FA Cup atmosphere, and why not in an old Premier League, all London FA Cup quarter-final here.
Well, you've got to put it in perspective, don't you? It is a quarter-final, so regardless of the kick-off time, you have to be up for it, and these players, no doubt, will be up for it. They know what's on the line in this game, and they both have fantastic opportunity to get through to a semi-final in FA Cup, and there's not many players that can say that.
First game in 2 weeks for Fulham, first game in 3 weeks for Palace. Whenever these sides have met in recent years, home advantage is always told. There's not been an away win for either of these clubs against the other the last 8 times that they've met. So can Fulham work that in their advantage today? Muniz, great work, into the penalty area, what a turn! Whoa, across the face of goal and wide. For a moment I thought it was in. Rodrigo Muniz created that all for himself. He tried to open his body and slot it into the far bottom corner, and he was agonisingly wide. It remains 0-0, but so close to an opening Fulham goal.
He does so well at the edge of the box, doesn't he? He out-muscles Mark Gay to the ball there, and then turns really quickly on the ball, the edge of the box, takes a couple of touches and tries to curl it into the far corner, and Henderson looked like he may have had it covered, but it was a really good opportunity, something that just came from nothing.
Fulham 0, Crystal Palace 0. It's been a season of plenty FA Cup drama. Plymouth beating Liverpool, Tamworth bringing Tottenham to extra time, but I think a good element about this is there's no David, there's no Kalaya today. Both these sets of players, both these sets of fans will believe they should be good enough to go through to the semi-final. Sander Berge wins it back again in the midfield for Fulham. Andreas Pereira, who's operating in the Emile Smith Rowe role today for Fulham. He's just in behind Rodrigo Muniz, the number 10 role, if you like. Muniz here tries to stretch for the ball, beaten to it by Lacroix. And then it's back to the halfway line where Calvin Bassey, who scored against Manchester United at Old Trafford in the last round, gets possession, plays the pass towards Robinson, who doesn't control it, and out it goes for a goal kick. For a throw into Crystal Palace down below us. So the teams then, Bernd Leno in goal for Fulham, back 4 of Timothy Castagne, Joachim Andersen, Calvin Bassey and Anthony Robinson. In midfield, Sasa Lukic with Sander Berge. Then there's an attacking 3, Iwobi on the right-hand side, Willian on the left, Andreas Pereira in the middle, as we mentioned, and Rodrigo Muniz through the centre. Iwobi has possession. Palace team in just a moment. Down goes Pereira, fouled by Wharton. Free kick to Fulham inside Crystal Palace territory. So the Palace team, Henderson in goal, 3 central defenders for them, Chris Richards, Maxence Lacroix, Mark Gahey. The wing-backs are Daniel Munoz and Tariq Mitchell, with Jefferson Lerma and Adam Wharton central, and then Ismail Assar and Ebericha Eze in support of Jean-Philippe Mateta, who's back, who's got not quite a mask, but sort of strapping. Oliver Glasner described it, he said, the sort of thing a water polo player would wear. It's kind of like a bridle on a horse, if you can imagine. It sort of straps over his eyes and across the back of his head, but it's not a full mask, and it's certainly not a cap, but that's the protective gear after he was kicked by the Millwall goalkeeper in the last round. Pereira takes the free kick short to Willian. Ball into the penalty area. Headed down by Gehi. Sits up almost for Sasa Lukic, but he can't get the shot away. And Palace relieved to get it out to the far side, where Willian prevents the ball going out of play, and he'll roll it back to Robinson.
Yeah, you can see how important Willian is at this Fulham side. He's got unbelievable delivery into the box. It's the second time now where he's put a dangerous ball into that 8-yard box. At the moment, Palace have dealt with it, but only just.
Could this be the year the FA Cup is won by a team that's never won it before? Both of these sides fall into that category. Fulham 0, Crystal Palace 0. 5 Live at BBC Sounds. The start of a busy FA Cup quarter-final weekend. We'll follow all the progress over the weekend here on 5 Live. Brighton against Nottingham Forest coming up at 5:15 as Willian looks to handle the ball as he tries to go back. Munoz doesn't get past him anyway. The ball goes out of play. Now the referee doesn't bring it back for a handball. It's going to be a throw into Fulham on the left-hand side, level with the edge of the penalty area of the attack. Robinson to Senderberger, back to the halfway line, back to Calvin Bassey. No big press on him from Mateta. And Mateta must be raring to go, having not played since the last round of this competition. Robinson on the left-hand side. Rolls it back into Calvin Bassey again. This is inside Crystal Palace territory. Fulham wearing white. Palace in there, red and blue. Andreas Pereira tries to shuffle it into the penalty area. Cut out by Daniel Munoz, who softly rolls it back to the goalkeeper, Dean Henderson, wearing teal today. And he clears it up over the halfway line, where Wharton has done well to feed the ball to Ismail Assar. Tried to shuffle it onto Munoz, but well intercepted by Robinson. And the fast-paced nature of this FA Cup quarter-final continues.
Yeah, it's going to be a really intriguing battle down the right-hand side for Crystal Palace, with Munoz against Anthony Robinson. Both have obviously got pace. They're going to have to each time be back and forth, trying to match each other on those runs defensively and offensively.
Bassey in possession. Rolls it across to Joachim Andersen, who scored an own goal the last time these sides met. Gehi gets it back for Palace and rolls it to the goalkeeper, Dean Henderson. Once again, Henderson's clearing straight down the centre of the field. Bassey with the sun in his eyes. You can see him visibly squinting, but he wins the header. Wharton battles with Pereira inside the centre circle. Lerma can't get it down. Might have come off the forearm of Iwobi. Referee says play on, however, and they're really battling for it here on the halfway line, as eventually, after a flurry of tackles, the referee gives a free kick to Crystal Palace, and a free kick for them on the halfway line. Foul on Tyreek Mitchell. Good noise inside Craven Cottage. Lacroix rolls short to Chris Richards. Back into Lacroix again with the orange boots. Fulham, whose 2 goals against Tottenham last time out were both scored by substitutes. Both managers will realise that this one, of course, could go the 90 minutes and beyond today. Extra time and penalties if required, to see who goes to Wembley for the semi-final. And we do have the semi-automated offside system in place today. More on that later. Here comes Andreas Pereira over the halfway line for Fulham. Has to look up to see who's with him. What a ball in towards Muniz. Volleyed backheel by Richards to try and clear away. Palace eventually get it away through Wharton. But that was another dangerous Fulham attack here, as the FA Cup quarter-final at Craven Cottage remains 0-0. Iwobi, crossfield ball for Willian, really accurate, tries to tee up Robinson, who is arriving. Ismail Assar is tracking back, and Sarr is forced to put it out for a corner. Corner to Fulham, who've started well, 0-0.
Yeah, they started very positively, haven't they? Fulham on the front foot. They've actually really tested Palace at times, more direct at times if they needed to. They go straight to Muniz. He's battled really well against the Crystal Palace defenders. Willian's been a threat down the left-hand side as well. He's delivering the box, has caused them problems. So it's a good opening, 8-9 minutes here at Craven Cottage for Fulham. Willian, who came back to join Fulham after a time in Greece during the January transfer window, takes the corner. Great delivery towards the back post. Bassey just about beaten in the air. I think Lerma got the touch on it as Wharton slides with Pereira, and the ball goes off the Brazilian international and out for a throw into Crystal Palace left full-back position for them. Yeah, it's another wonderful delivery from Willian, isn't it? Every time he gets the ball, he's a danger, he's a threat. Delivery, and it's just whipped in. It's so difficult to defend against. The ball to the far post was whipped with real pace, and Bassey is very, very close. They get on the end of that from about 4 or 5 yards out.
Lerma, who's not as tall as Bassi, did really well to beat him in the air there. Saturday lunchtime sellout at Craven Cottage as Palace have it. Soft pass towards Munoz, but he did so well to get there ahead of the lunging Robinson. Sander Berger recovers possession for Fulham, and now Robinson's got a 2-on-1. He and Willian up against Richards. Willian steps into the penalty area, rolls it to the edge to Andres Pereira. First touch was a little clumsy, but then he gives it back to Willian again, just outside the box now, left-hand side. Wharton shadowing in front of him, so it's laid off back to Sander Berger, out to the left wing to Anthony Robinson. Fulham's passing has been crisp and it's been sharp in the early stages here. We've played 10 minutes at Craven Cottage, 5 live and BBC Sounds, the FA Cup quarter-final. Sander Berger 15 yards outside the box. Fulham are very much playing directly into the sun here. It's in their eyes as they play from right to left. Willian with a burst. Robinson to the byline. Hooks it towards the back post. Munoz was there and it's put out for another corner. This is very strong Fulham pressure in the opening 10 minutes.
Yeah, they were really patient in that moment in time. It looked like the play was dead. Palace had players back. No one was really going to the ball for Fulham, so they could just take their time. Then all of a sudden there was a turn of pace. There was a bit of movement. Anthony Robinson then found himself free down the left-hand side as he whips that cross in right at the far post. And Tyrick Mitchell had to see it out for a corner because Munoz was right there ready to pounce.
A corner that Willian will take, raises his left hand as a signal to the teammates in the centre. 0-0 at the Cottage. Here comes the delivery, just too high for Joachim Andersen. Came off the top of his head. Andreas Pereira collects on the left-hand side. Great ball back in again. Headed down under pressure by Sarr. Andersen tries to shoot from the edge of the area, and it's blocked away by Lerma and out for another corner. And at the moment, Crystal Palace are hanging on.
Yeah, they are. Again, constant threat from Fulham. The deliveries are great. You can see Andersen from the edge of the box there. There were a lot of bodies in front of Dean Henderson there. Oh, it hits his hand actually. His hand's on the ground. He doesn't get the block. I don't think there's anything else in it, but it hits his hand as the block goes in and goes out for a corner.
Here it comes from Willian yet again. This aerial assault on the Crystal Palace penalty area continues. Munoz wins the header, but it's down into the turf and up into the gloves of Henderson as the Crystal Palace defence breathes a sigh of relief. 0-0. Good start to the game. This bodes well for the next 80 minutes or so and maybe beyond. Fulham 0, Crystal Palace 0. Fulham, who beat Manchester United to get to this quarter-final, but they haven't knocked out Premier League opposition in consecutive rounds of the FA Cup for a long, long time. Can they do it again? And for Palace, this is the first time they've come up against Premier League opposition. They've played teams from League 2, they've played teams from League 1, they've played teams from the Championship. They're working their way up, and now including today, Palace have played against sides from all 4 of the top tiers on this cup run. Munoz prepares to take a throw-in, swivels the ball in his hand like a basketball player, takes the throw into Lerma. Great challenge by Sasa Lukic, who's so strong, and then it awkwardly comes off the shin pad of Andersen, and maybe a chance for Ismaila Sarr into the penalty area, pulls it back. Sander Berger puts it out for a corner. First bit of attacking menace from Palace, and they win a corner kick. 0-0.
Yeah, Sander Berger had to be there, didn't he? He was right at the near post. Mateta was ready, he was lining up, already wound up his leg, ready to flick it on in that near post area. But Berg just does the last bit of defending. It was a bit awkward from Andersen, wasn't it? Sort of bobbled up a little bit on him, and it was awkward in between. He didn't know whether to try and get his foot through it or his thigh.
So the corner will be taken by Wharton. Right-hand side as Palace come forward. He's going to take it left-footed, so this should be an in-swinger as Bernd Leno stands just one pace off his goal line amidst the heavy traffic of a congested 6-yard box. Here comes the delivery. Jumping header by Lacroix. He's down, saved by Leno. Down at his right-hand post as he looks out. Did well to gather it. Runs to the edge of his penalty area. Tries to throw an early distribution, but Palace had already retreated and covered all those options. Good save from Leno. First time he's been tested today. Yeah,
it was good save. He was under threat there from Mateta, but the linesman put his flag up, so it was play on because in the end, Bernd Leno collected the ball. But it was a sort of a half-headed sort of attempt from Lacroix. Didn't quite get enough on it because he was under a lot of pressure. But I tell you what, Leno did well just to stay big and gather.
Particularly with so many bodies around him there. Leno, who's wearing bright yellow, away to our right-hand side. Fulham have it on the halfway line. Andersen to Kelvin Bassi. Bassi, who's been a very consistent performer for Marcus Silva this campaign. He's only missed 1 Premier League game. Robinson into Willian. That's a smart turn. Wharton hacks him down. Now that is a free kick, and I won't be surprised to see the card. Yes, yellow card for Adam Wharton. Very little intent to play the ball there. He has hacked out Willian, who bounces back up to his feet, but Wharton making absolutely certain that Fulham's Brazilian would not proceed there.
Yeah, you know what? He goes for the ball. He clearly does. He's just not getting there, is he? And in the end, of course, it is a foul, clear foul, and the referee's right on the spot, and it's the right decision, yellow card, but there's no malice in that whatsoever. Adam
Wharton, who didn't play at all this season between October and February, and hoping for a strong end to the campaign. Player who made England's squad at Euro 2024 less than a year ago. So now Fulham with this attacking free kick, 15 yards outside the penalty area. Palace are holding their defensive line along the edge of the box. Andreas Pereira and Willian are the two standing over it. Willian leaves it for Andreas Pereira. Scooped into the box, flag goes up immediately. Fulham are offside. Doesn't matter anyway, as the ball bounces out for a goal kick, but they were offside, so it'll be a free kick. I think it was Sasa Lukic or maybe Timothy Castagna who had strayed offside.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's offside or it's a foul on a Palace player, because on the replay it doesn't look like. And you can see, we're seeing a replay now as well where that chance there, Mateta was standing clearly in an offside position. It was Lacroix, it comes off his shoulder actually, his header, and you can see there Mateta's in an offside position, and you can see Bert Leno's just really quick out and smothers the chance.
Plenty live sport coming up this weekend on 5 Live. At 3 o'clock today we'll have commentary of Celtic against Hearts in the Scottish Premiership. Celtic closing in on the title. Ian Dennis will be alongside Pat Nevin for that one. And then at 5:15 another of the FA Cup quarter-finals being played. Brighton against Nottingham Forest. You might remember Brighton lost 7-0 at Forest not so long ago, but they've got home advantage today. You can watch that game on BBC One, or you can listen to it here on 5 Live. And tomorrow's 5 Live sport will come from Preston, will be at Deepdale as they are in action against Aston Villa. That's a 1:30 start. You can also watch that one on BBC One. Fulham trying to come forward here. Gehi retreating to the edge of his penalty area. Wins the header to keep it away from Iwobi. Helped out by Tyreek Mitchell, who hooks it up over his shoulder, up towards the halfway line. Eza, who's yet to get into the game yet, is beaten to it by Castagna, and then a crunching challenge by Sander Berger. Releases Willian again, and this time it's no foul. Play on, says the referee, but Lacroix's clearance is poor. He's given it to Robinson, just outside the penalty area. Flicks it in towards the far side. Iwobi cushions down for Willian. Back out to Iwobi. Cross from the right-hand side. Muniz tries to get up. He misses it. It bounces awkwardly for Robinson. This is all in the penalty area, and then when it's lofted back in a third time, it's grabbed by the goalkeeper Henderson, as we hear news coming our way of a goal at Charlton against Huddersfield in League One. An early kick-off delay at the Valley. Becky Ives.
Charlton 1, Huddersfield Town 0. Matty Godden, 16th goal of the season. Ball given away by Huddersfield. It was capitalised on, cut back to him, and he headed it into the bottom left-hand corner. Charlton 1, Huddersfield Town 0.
Thanks very much, Becky. Fulham 0, Crystal Palace 0. Here at Craven Cottage. Fulham with most of the attacking pressure, though, so far. These two sides who played out a 0-0 draw at Selhurst Park in the Premier League last season. But there'll be no draw today, even if it goes all the way to penalties. Daniel Munoz has got a throw in on the right-hand side. He's been in the goals lately. 3 goals in his last 7 games in all competitions. Scored against Fulham here in the Premier League last month. Munoz today making his 50th appearance for Palace, and after all the long wait to take the throw, he then decides to leave it here for Jefferson Lerma, who tucks it up inside his shirt, wiping the ball and preparing to launch it into the penalty area. Every player took a few steps back there when they saw Lerma come across. And here he comes from the advertising board, arching his back, spinning it into the penalty area. Gehi missed it. Leno punching. Did well, the goalkeeper, under pressure as Fulham shifted outside the penalty area. And Iwobi helping it on to Sasa Lukic. Down he goes. Good tackle by Wharton to win the ball back for Crystal Palace. And he plays it infield to Ismaila Sarr. Bassi looks like he's fouling it. Sarr's able to play off. Referee says it's no foul. The Fulham fans roar their encouragement as Calvin Bassi got the better of that physical contest. Now Willian scampering down the left wing, plays it back into Bassi, who's remained in the forward run. That's terrible defending by Lerma. Pulls it back to Pereira, who puts it wide. Big chance for Fulham, but Andreas Pereira can't hit the target. Fulham 0, Crystal Palace 0 on 5 Live.
Wow, it's a big chance for Fulham there. I'll tell you what, Crystal Palace on numerous occasions they had opportunities to clear the danger, didn't. Lerma was the last one in the end who just completely misses the ball. Bassi then allows him to play, take his he's picked to lay the ball across the 8-yard box, and it's Pereira in the end just slightly scuffs his shot, can't keep it on target. A lot to do still from that sort of distance, but could have easily have been a 1-0 lead to Fulham.
It's the voice of former Fulham keeper Mark Schwarzer. Let's see this game with us here today at Craven Cottage, an idyllic scene on this sunny Saturday. It feels like summer is arriving. As Mitchell tries to keep the ball in play on the far side. Excellent work from Sasa Lukic to win it back. Castagna, an FA Cup winner with Leicester back in 2021, clears away. And this is Robinson. Oh, under pressure. What's he done here, Robinson? He's so lucky not to have lost it there. He hesitated, he looked up, he took his eye off what he was doing for a moment, and it seemed like Mateta was going to pounce and take possession into the penalty area. And much relieved, Anthony Robinson saw the ball cleared away as Muniz jumps and challenges in the air. Fulham are really up for it today. Robinson goes thundering into Mark Gay and fouls him. That's a free kick to Crystal Palace near the centre circle. But I mean, if you talk about desire, Fulham are going into every 50-50 challenge here like their lives depend on it.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's a foul. I'm not. I mean, they've both got their eye on the ball. There's Anthony Robinson actually heads the ball. Mark Gay handballs the ball. I think the referee's been very lenient there. I don't think that's a foul whatsoever. I think it's a really good 50-50 challenge where Anthony Robinson just comes out on top.
Yeah, I agree.
Literally on top.
I agree. Having seen it, he just leaps better. He has more momentum. And he certainly doesn't stretch out his arm into the opponent or anything. It's a challenge for the ball, which he was simply stronger. But anyway, the referee gave the free kick to Palace, and 0-0 it remains. 20 minutes played. Leno away to our right-hand side, rolls it short to Joachim Andersen. Back into the German goalkeeper once again. Fulham looking to play their way through the Palace press as Robinson up to the halfway line. Good flick on header by Muniz. He's had an excellent start to the game. Andreas Pereira's first touch was a tad too heavy, not by much, but just a tad, which allowed Lacroix to nip in and regain the ball for Crystal Palace. Palace look to build out from the back now. Ismail Assar comes over the halfway line. 0-0. Palace playing left to right. Mateta over to the far side to Tyreek Mitchell. Palace have not got Eze into the game at all yet. You feel that could be a key element. Eze, who scored early goal earlier on this cup run in the win against Stockport County. Mitchell wins it back. Palace trying to reassert a bit of dominance here in midfield, a midfield area that so far has been one-way traffic for Fulham. There's been a collision off the ball here. I didn't see this, but Muniz has collided with Horton, and he went down and the referee stopped play. But I don't think there's any further action being taken. Horton, who's already on a yellow card, that's why the crowd are getting giddy about this. I must confess, I didn't see that in real time, Mark. I don't know if you saw anything. I didn't.
Yeah, Muniz has gone in and sort of just a little bit of a shove on Wharton there, and as he turns and runs away, I think they just clip. There's a bit of you can see there. I tell you what, Wharton's actually lashed out a little bit. We'll see it now. He kicks out at him. Yeah, he clearly kicks out at him. Be interested to see what happens here.
Today, Rob Jones is the video assistant referee. Tim Wood assisting. Jared Killen is there too. They have an extra video assistant referee when they have the semi-automated system for the offsides, but they will be looking at these replays in the background as the referee, who is Darren England today, is having a word with Anthony Robinson and Muniz, but Horton seems to be escaping any further punishment.
Yeah, it's like a little bit of a petulant sort of swing at it, and it's a half-hearted one, and I think that's the only reason maybe he's gotten away with that one, because he does have a swing, but I think at the time he's doing it, he realises what he's doing. He does, though, connect with Muniz. So I think he's very fortunate they haven't taken this any further.
Yeah, these days they've got all the action replays in the dugouts and the little iPads down there. Marcus Silva saw that and he was remonstrating with the fourth official, who's Sam Barrett, today about that. That's a controversial incident. I think Horton gets away with that one, but could be on thin ice for any subsequent misunderstandings now. On a yellow card early in the game, England international Adam Horton has got to be careful. Free kick to Palace near the halfway line, midway through the first half. Chris Richards plays the ball back in field to Lacroix. Lacroix's ball to Mateta, an early whip out towards the near touchline. But I use the word whip because he really did guide that forcefully, and it was a difficult one for Ismail Assar to control. He doesn't, it goes out of play for a throw into Fulham. Good idea from Mateta, but his teammate wouldn't have been thanking him for it.
Yeah, you can see he's trying to get his team going because they have been up against it. Fulham have started so well, but there are moments when Palace do go forward. They look sharp, they look dangerous. Mateta's ball was literally probably half a stride off being a brilliant pass as well to Sarr. So they're not far off it. Fulham have to be careful. Palace not far off getting back in this game.
0-0, 5 live on BBC Sounds. Palace, who were FA Cup finalists in 1990 and 2016, and they're on a good run of form. Palace, you know, you look at the table, you've got to take into account as Anderson makes a good sliding challenge there. Free kick was given because of a pull on Mateta, so a free kick to Crystal Palace midway inside Fulham territory. But Palace started this season very slowly, and that's why they're on a brilliant run now, but it's not really reflected by their league position. It's just been a great improvement on where they were, but they've only lost 2 games since before Christmas, Palace, as they look to put Bernd Leno under a bit of pressure here. 25 minutes on the clock, and Eze standing over the free kick.
Yeah, I mean, these are the moments, aren't they? I mean, you've got a player like Eze who's so good. He can create something from nothing. Fulham have given a free kick away in a silly area. Lukic didn't need to pull Mateta's shirt, and it's just now from nothing. Palace have half an opportunity to try and get something going in the Fulham 18-yard box.
Fulham have brought everyone back to defend this. They are lined up along the edge of the penalty area. Eze with the lime green boots is only 2 paces back for the ball. It's going to be a short one, presumably it'll take. No, he rolls it low to Horton, a rehearsed move, but Iwobi was aware of the danger. They try to pass the red. Oh, what a shot from Lerma off the crossbar! It came from a height down to him. He hit it full on the volley, outside of the right boot, from way outside the penalty area. That would have been one of the great FA Cup goals. It looped and arced and came off the top of the bar. Jefferson Lerma within millimetres of a worldie.
Oh, I've got goosebumps, I tell you what a strike. As the ball is cleared by Iwobi, it looped up, and he's adjusted himself quickly and hits it with the outside of his foot, and you're thinking this is in.
Oh, we almost witnessed a magic moment there. I mean, from nothing, clearance by Fulham from a free kick. You think, oh, he's going to control this and try and play. He said, come on, I'm going to buy a lottery ticket here. I'm going to see do my numbers come up. And he almost executed it perfectly. 0-0. Big scare for Fulham, though, who have dominated possession, who've had the majority of attacks here, but Palace coming closest in the game to scoring there. Eze controls and turns just inside the penalty area. Iwobi can't bring him down. Eze into the box, then taken off him by Sarr. Sarr dancing in front of Robinson. Robinson doing really well to hold him up. Muniz comes as a support. Sarr having to retreat now, back to Jefferson Lerma. Good defending from Fulham to try and usher Palace away here, but there's no doubt Oliver Glasner's team have improved in recent minutes in this London derby in the FA Cup quarter-final. Richards infield to Lacroix. Palace seeing more of the ball now, beginning to ask questions. Mitchell on the far side plays it forward towards Eze, blocked away by Castagna. And fans from both teams applauding their good work rate from both sides. Still 0-0.
Yeah, game's come alive now, hasn't it? It's not just Fulham now trying to dictate the pace. Palace have woken up and have had a couple of good moments in this game, and it's setting up for a really intriguing match.
We mentioned Stockport County earlier on. Palace beat them on this cup run to get to the quarter-final. Stockport are playing in a early kick-off in League One today, and they have taken the lead against Burton Albion. Stockport County 1, Burton Albion 0. Carl Wootton has scored the goal there. Here at Craven Cottage, free kick to Crystal Palace. A reminder that we've got Celtic against Hearts coming up at 3 o'clock. Ian Dennis with the usual round-the-ground service, but based in Scotland today. We have Brighton against Nottingham Forest to come as the tea time game in other of these FA Cup quarter-finals. Eze is going to take the free kick for Palace. Short run up, right-footed delivery. Too much on it surely, and an easy pick for Bernd Leno. So, tight cup ties so far. On a day that we get a winner either way. This is Sasa Lukic coming from deep. Top half of the Premier League table, very congested, but even amongst that heavy traffic, Fulham have been able to rise their way up into European contention. As you mentioned earlier on the mark, winning the FA Cup is a very direct access route into Europe, which will be tempting to all of the teams left in the competitions, because even Manchester City aren't guaranteed their place yet.
Yeah, it could be a huge moment for a lot of teams. Opportunity to play in European football. Obviously, winning the FA Cup is monumental as well. So for either any of these teams left in this competition, it's a big weekend.
Andreas Pereira, middle of the midfield, gives it to Willian, who's had a bright start. That's a clever ball out towards Iwobi, but that was Gehi who's covering. Gehi gets there first and puts it out for a throw-in. Throw it to Fulham, who remain on the attack on the right-hand side. Castagna, the Belgian, comes forward to take the throw-in. He scored against Watford earlier on in this cup run, Timothy Castagna. Gets the ball back from Iwobi. Good, strong challenge in on him, though. And that goes out off Mitchell for another throw into Fulham, so they'll remain on the attack. I'm not sure Anderson's taken that from the right position there, but the officials give him the benefit of the doubt. Bassi has it here inside the centre circle. Fulham 0, Crystal Palace 0 on 5 Live. Robinson back into Bassi again. If you missed the team news earlier on today, Jean-Philippe Mateta back in the starting team for Palace with the protective head strapping. He's not seen much of the ball. As Sarr tries to come forward, but a crunching tackle by Pereira holds onto it for Fulham. Now Robinson swings it in. Down goes Muniz in the box, but to be fair to him, he doesn't make a song and a dance about it. He's not claiming he was fouled as the ball goes out of play on the far side. And the referee has just been asked by the video assistant referee to pause the throw-in while they have another look at this. But my reaction is to go at Muniz. If he's not appealing for it, it's unlikely to be given as anything there.
Yeah, no, I don't think it is. I think Muniz then throws his leg away as well, make it look a little bit more dramatic than it actually was. And it was just literally Mark Gay putting his hands on him. There was no shove.
Fulham, who've already beaten Wigan and Watford and Manchester United to get into this cup run. The last 4 times Fulham have been in an FA Cup quarter-final, they have lost on all 4 occasions. How the Fulham fans would love a big day out at Wembley. Here is Sanderberger, the Norwegian international, to the American Robinson, onto the Brazilian Andreas Pereira. He runs at Richards, then turns and rolls it back to Robinson once again. This is left-hand side of the field as Fulham come forward. And Robinson, who just for a moment lost it underneath his old studs there as he tried to turn. Sarr saw the opportunity and pounced, but Robinson was able to hold on to his composure and give it back to Calvin Bassi. And slowly, Fulham retreating back into their own half here. As Palace are pressing better now, but Sanderberger does well to hold off Wharton. Lukic to Castagna on the far side. Back into Cecil Lukic, who played for Serbia. They won their playoff promotion relegation game in the Nations League. They beat Austria over 2 legs over the past fortnight. Here's Mateta. Oh, if he just released a pass there, Eze would have been clear, but he didn't get the head up quick. Maybe that the strapping impairs his vision a bit for that sort of peripheral stuff, but he wasn't able to get the pass away. Wharton does well in the midfield here. Up to Ismail Assar. Challenged immediately by Sanderberger. Leno comes way out of his penalty area, gets there first and launches it all the way down the field. Oh, suddenly a retreat by Henderson as he tries to judge the bounce. Oh, and he's dropped it, but the referee said he was fouled. Well, you know, you compare that to a collision between outfield players and how severe a contact has to be. As you know, Mark, goalkeeper's the most protected of species, and any touch at all of he gets the free kick.
And they should be as well. Look, I don't know. The only thing I'd say is that when he stops, he doesn't go on, he doesn't challenge. He stops under Henderson, and therefore it then prevents Henderson from getting a proper go at the ball, and actually makes it quite dangerous for Henderson.
Fair enough, he does, yeah. The collision with the keeper in the air does increase the danger. Goal of the Valley. Charlton against Huddersfield in League One. Becky Ives.
And it's Charlton 2, Huddersfield Town 0. Long ball over the top. It found the feet of Tyrese Campbell, who had space in the box, who shot it back across goal and then buried it into the bottom corner. Charlton 2, Huddersfield Town 0.
Thanks very much, Becky. So here at Craven Cottage, where Palace haven't lost as a visiting team of this ground in 20 years, it remains 0-0 for the moment in the FA Cup. Anderson goes long down the right wing, looking for Castagna, who's up from right back, jumping in the air with Gehi. Gehi wins the header. This is Lerma with it down on the deck. The Colombian left-footed up towards Jean-Philippe Mateta. Anderson standing right behind him. Good close touch control from Mateta. If he can keep this in play. No, Anderson tackles him the second time. Very good from Joachim Anderson there. And then does Lacroix foul Muniz. The referee says no. Fulham fans baying for a free kick there. Challenges are going in at a mighty rate at the moment. Here comes Mitchell, left wing for Crystal Palace. Gives it short to Eze. Lovely little turn. Shoots right-footed. And it's in! It's a brilliant goal from Ebe Eze! He did that so well, turning, manoeuvring into the shooting position, and he drilled it right into into the bottom corner. Crystal Palace, who've been under pressure in this FA Cup quarter-final, take the lead 12 minutes before half-time, and it's another brilliant goal from Ebe Eze.
What a strike from Eze. It came from absolutely nothing. The minute he gets the ball, though, Fulham players are just backing off. They're giving him the space. He just drops his shoulder, turns back inside, and he hits it from that far corner. It starts about a metre outside the line of the post and curls all the way in around some players, and it gives Bernd Leno no chance. What a strike.
That is a perfect shot. He couldn't have, I mean, if you said take that 1,000 times, he would not have hit it better than the way he hit that. It's a long way out, but it's precision.
It's hit the inside of the post as well. It just gives Bernd Leno no chance whatsoever, and that's the danger. That's the danger that Crystal Palace possess when they have a player like Eze in their side who's not really been involved for the vast part of this first half. Just pops up from nowhere, and it's a brilliant strike.
Brilliant goal, his second in the FA Cup this season, his sixth in all competitions. Fulham 0, Crystal Palace 1. Palace have absorbed what was thrown at them, and now they have hit a big punch of their own. And Eze, you know, we'd mentioned the commentary, hadn't seen much of the ball, but once he's able to turn like that, once he's a sight of goal, he is so dangerous.
I mean, he's had a couple of moments on the ball when they had set plays. He's delivering the box has been pretty off.
Sanderberger down the other end. Into the penalty area for Fulham. Tees up, Robinson shoots with his less favoured right boot. Same shot straight to the goalkeeper. Had that been on his left, it could be a different story.
Yeah, just Fulham have been in good areas at times, had good opportunities to get a shot off on goal. They've either not hit the target or it's just been too straight at Dean Henderson there and made it too easy for him to make that save.
So Crystal Palace fans who are housed behind the goal that their team defend away to our left-hand side, they are in full celebration mode now. Great to score first in any cup tie, but in a London derby as well. Sanderberger prods it forward towards Muniz. Really important to see how Fulham reacted. Fulham, who've given it everything, who've played some really good football, but now find themselves behind, and how they react to that transition is going to be very interesting indeed. And Marco Silva sent loads of his substitutes to go for a warm-up jog already. 9 minutes to go to half-time.
Yeah, Muniz another time there. He's on the ball. There's a nice challenge from Lacroix. Really good 50-50, sort of muscling each other, and Muniz is just going to ground too easily. The referee's not having any of it. He's done it 2 or 3 times now. He needs to stay on his feet. He needs to hold the ball up.
Rodrigo Muniz, who's already scored 3 times in this FA Cup run. Fulham need a goal now. This is Willian winning the ball back for the home side. Retreats back into his own half. Bassi and Anderson, and ultimately back to Bernd Leno. But the noise all coming from the visiting Palace fans at the moment. Craven Cottage has been stunned by that quite brilliant goal from Eberechi Eze as Bassi goes long, too far in front of Sasa Lukic. Maybe a little bit of desperation already creeping in for Fulham here. A frustration that, you know, their game plan, which produced chances but did not get a goal, and now they've just been launching along towards Muniz, launching along towards Lukic there. Marco Silva's team probably need the half-time break here to try and get a second wind. Willian to Andreas Pereira. Robinson back to Calvin Bassi. Long way to go here, but the advantage of the moment with Oliver Glasner's team. This is Castagna on the far side of the pitch from us. Plays it to the feet of Iwobi. He's got to sprint back into his own half in order to hold on to possession. Back to suddenly Fulham, everything is on the back foot as they try to regain a foothold in a game that they did seem to be dominating earlier on. Bassi has it midway inside his own half. Gives it to the right-hand side to Anderson. Mateta jogging alongside him, but no real hot pursuit there. But Eze does crunch in on Castagna, wins the ball back for Palace, and Anderson slides in to try and tackle him, but Lerma will release it down the left wing now, and if Eze keeps this in play, it could be a good opportunity. He does, down by the corner flag, left-hand side, 3 teammates in the middle, sends in the cross, and it's flicked, and it's in, and it's Ismail Assar, and it's wham bam 2 goals in 4 minutes have tilted this FA Cup quarter-final so firmly now in Crystal Palace's favour. Eze scored one of them, and now he's set up the other, and Fulham, quite frankly, don't know what's hit them. Fulham 0, Crystal Palace 2, Ismail Assar.
Yeah, it's another effort there from Eze, being totally involved in this one. At the time there, you can see as Joachim Andersen goes across, he slides in to make a challenge further up the pitch, takes out Castagna. By doing so, he allows Eze free down the left-hand side. Palace playing the ball straight away. He's got time on the ball. He drops his shoulder a few times against Sander Berger, and then able to get a really good ball in that near post area. And you can see there, Saad just gets in front of Bassi, and Bassi just, all he can do is just watch him. It's a simple glancing header from that near post area, and it gives the goalkeeper no chance.
Well, it's been a stunning last 5 minutes at Craven Cottage, where Crystal Palace, who up until that moment were mostly in all-out defence mode, they were hanging on, we used the expression at one stage in the Coventry. Now they lead by 2 goals to 0 after 2 quick-fire strikes. Eze and Sarr, and Fulham, well, there is a long way to go, Mark, but they are a long way behind now.
Yeah, they are. That's a bitter blow for Fulham. They really didn't get back going again after conceding that first goal. They're a little bit stunned. They were a little bit rushed, like you were saying, almost a little bit desperate at times, and then lost their focus, and now they find themselves 2-0 down and really up against it.
Well, the home fans have been silenced as Henderson comes outside his penalty area, heads the ball away, did well under pressure. Fortune up to Mateta. Quite literally, Crystal Palace with the sun on their back, but metaphorically too now. What a turn of events to not just take the lead, but to double it so quickly. And a confident Fulham performance has been shattered in that regard now. They will be full of self-doubt, self-criticism too. Eze playing such a big part in both goals, and that's the quality that he has. You know, if Eze decides that there's a sparkling moment to be had, very few defences can stop it. This is Sander Berger for Fulham. Can they get one back ahead of half-time? 2-0 to Palace on 5 Live and BBC Sounds in the FA Cup quarter-final. Robinson to the byline, kept it in play, did well. Richards puts it out for a corner kick. Palace are complaining about it, but it's a corner kick, and Willian has no time to waste now as he goes out to place the ball.
Yeah, these are the moments now Fulham have to make the most of it. They have had plenty of these early on in the game, didn't really get on the end of it. Great deliveries, they need another good delivery, and you make these count.
Crystal Palace's first game in 3 weeks, and they look fresh. They do not look tired. Here comes Willian's corner. In-swinger again. Henderson punches, right fisted away. Controlled by Andreas Pereira on the edge of the box. Gives it back out to the left-hand side where Willian had taken that corner. He's got Lukic with him. Lukic tries to cross it in, but Munoz blocks the attempted delivery, and that sends Fulham scampering back, tail between their legs, all the way back to Bernd Leno, away to our right-hand side. Crystal Palace have suddenly gained the ascendancy, the control of this FA Cup quarter-final. 4 minutes, less than that now, to go until the break. Bassi near the centre circle. Waves his arms, wants Willian to make a run ahead of him. Now he plays the ball in that direction. Controlled on the instep by Willian, but that was it. He ran in too early there, and he strayed offside, and it's a free kick to Crystal Palace.
Yeah, we're seeing the pictures of Marco Silva on the sideline. I don't think he can believe what he's just seen. That's the first time actually Williams strayed in the offside position. Normally the ball's been quicker to him as well, and they're just feeling a little bit sorry for themselves at the moment, Fulham, and you have to give Palace credit. They've absorbed the pressure, they've defended really well early on. Yeah, they rode their luck on a couple of occasions, but then when given the opportunity to attack Fulham in their own half, they've then taken advantage of it, and they've been really ruthless in front of goal.
Today is Marco Silva's 500th game as a manager. Still waiting for a first piece of silverware in English football, and he'll have been dreaming of the FA Cup fulfilling that this year. But if Fulham are going to go to the semi at Wembley, they're going to do it the hard way. That's brilliant from Ward in the midfield, it really is. He turns Sasa Lukic inside out there, and then he doesn't manage to deliver the pass afterwards, which is why you heard the cheer and the jeer from the home Fulham fans. But a lovely little piece of skill in the midfield from Wharton to get away from Sasa Lukic just before that. A reminder of his quality. Ball goes out of play for a throw into Crystal Palace. Everything is going against Fulham at the moment. All the little 50-50 battles. Lerma here stretching Gets the ball out to Tyreek Mitchell, far side of the pitch from us. Fulham 0, Crystal Palace 2 on 5 live. It's launched by Gahey, out to the right-hand side, stretching Munoz, looks to control. I think the sun in his eyes played a factor there as he misses the ball and out it goes for a Fulham throw. Mark Swartz.
Yeah, again, for Crystal Palace, it's all about now controlling the game, certainly up until half-time. They're in the right half, they want to put Fulham on the back foot, they want to keep the game in their half, and that was obviously just a little bit of a wayward pass, but certainly the momentum is with Crystal Palace right now.
Fulham's last game, where they beat Spurs, they didn't take the lead till the 75th minute, then they went on to win 2-0, so 2 late goals in that game. That's the sort of finish they're going to need today at a bare minimum. As we approach half-time in the sunshine at Craven Cottage, Richards makes an interception, great ball up to Eze, really accurate there. Eze tries a trick on Castagna, who'd seen it before, and was able to nudge the ball away, but then there's a foul on Tyreek Mitchell, free kick to Crystal Palace, midway inside Fulham territory. I'll tell you, if they got a third goal, Palace, by half-time, it really would be all over, and Fulham have got to drag everyone back again to defend this one.
Yeah, they do, and I've done this a few times in this first half. They've just given away free kicks in sort of silly areas. That this time Iwobi's just late. Mitchell gets ahead of him, and then Iwobi, rather than trying to get back into position, he ends up fouling him. He gives him a bit of a shove and allows Palace just to slow the game down, set up another free kick. This time try and work on the delivery and try and put Fulham under a bit more pressure.
Eze standing over it. It's too far out surely for a shot. Now here it comes, stinked over the defence. Lacroix, header on target, bounces into the gloves of Bernd Leno. Fulham survived that one. 10 seconds of normal time remaining in the first half. The fourth official is readying the board to tell us what is going to be added on.
I'm not quite sure what was Fulham doing there. I mean, it's a free kick. They've just switched off defensively. Nobody's going for the ball. Lacroix's got a free header. He just completely misheads it. That's the only reason why Palace just don't find themselves now possibly even 3-0 up.
2 minutes being added on for stoppages. 2 goals between the teams in this FA Cup quarter-final. Anderson goes long, but again, since they've reverted to these long direct balls, it's not working at all for Fulham. They played it to the wings early. They used Willian a lot in the opening minutes of this game. They've got to try and get back into that groove. Reminder that 5 Live Sport tomorrow comes live from Deepdale. Preston North End hosting Aston Villa in another of the FA Cup quarter-finals. We've got 6 Premier League commentaries on Tuesday and Wednesday this coming week, including the Merseyside derby on Wednesday. Fulham will be on action too. They go to Arsenal. And you can listen to those games Tuesday and Wednesday. Plenty live football this coming week on 5 Live at BBC Sounds. As Chris Richards clears for Palace, Bassi returns it from the heart of the Fulham defence. Lerma jumps well in the midfield for Crystal Palace. Ismail Assar, one of the goal scorers today, is shuffled off the ball and the referee says he wasn't fouled. Andreas Pereira thought about releasing an early ball to Willian, thought the better of it, and a few groans from Fulham fans who wanted him to play that pass. This is Bassi. Willian, first touch infield to Andreas Pereira, difficult one to receive under pressure from Jefferson Lerma. There's a real hunger about Palace now as they try to win it back, but Sasa Lukic rides a challenge, gets to the edge of the area, pulls it back for Willian. It was a tame shot and it was blocked by the defender Richards. Didn't catch it sweetly, Willian, but Bassi now takes on the charge, driving his way into the penalty area. Calvin Bassi cuts it back, but Lacroix was standing in defence of the edge of the 6-yard box and he's able to clear it away.
Yeah, Bassi does really well down the left-hand side here. Gets in a really good ball in that near-post area. Unfortunately for Fulham, nobody's making a run. Everyone's just standing there and watching. And it's an easy clearance then for Lacroix.
I love watching Calvin Bassi when he drives forward. He's like a train, isn't he? You think he couldn't stop even if he wanted to once he builds up the head of steam. As the referee Darren England blows the whistle for half-time, and there is much fat to chew, particularly if you're a Fulham fan. Quite how have they let this slip away from them? For the opening half hour, Fulham were clearly the team on top. They had several chances, but then a quick-fire 4-minute spell. So Eze and Sarr both score for Crystal Palace, and this has now become an FA Cup quarter-final that is Oliver Glasner's to lose here in the second half. Palace just need to hang on here at the break. They've got a 2-goal lead, Mark Swartz.
They do, yeah. I mean, it's sort of, I'm going to say sucker punches, really. I mean, they were, I suppose. Palace really didn't create a lot of chances up until that point, and obviously individual brilliance from Iberici is a really good finish, brilliant strike outside the line of the post, hits the post and goes in. No chance for Bernd Leno in goal, and then obviously his involvement in the second one down the left-hand side. kept the ball, dropped the shoulder, whipped it across in the near post area, but just poor defending from Fulham. They've really switched off and almost like feeling sorry for themselves.
Well, all the talk today about the return of Jean-Philippe Mateta from injury for Crystal Palace, but it's Ebericha Eze with the goal and the assist, and it's Ismaila Sarr who's on a great run now, 4 goals in 4 games for him. That is Crystal Palace in control for the moment. Fulham need to dig deep in the second half here at Craven Cottage. Fulham 0, Crystal Palace 2 for now.
They're very different goals, but they're both great goals, aren't they, Mark, in their own ways?
They are, yeah, you're right. And I mean, I think the importance, firstly, of Eze in both of them, of course, goes without saying. I mean, his first strike for the first goal was brilliant, really good, almost unsavable. Defending, I think Fulham just dropped off too much. And then the second one, there was a combination of leading up to it, Joachim Andersen taking out Castagna, that allows Eze to be freed on the left-hand side. Then his movement, his trickery on the ball was really good. He had Sanderberger to beat, whips it in the near post area, and just Bassey's a little bit slow to react. And it's a simple header flick in from that near post area.
It's a great header, though. We don't often see those very often now. Those crosses tend to be cutbacks and finish that way. But that near post movement and a deft flick.
Well, that's the thing, right? So that is the simplicity of football at times. Those near post runs and flick on. You're right. We don't see it often enough, which surprises me. Is that's how effective they can be. I mean, it's always about making the near post run, dragging defenders out of position, create space. You can still play a cut back. Teams just don't do it as often anymore. And today we saw it. A really simple run, a good run, well timed, a good flick on, like a good sort of glancing here at near post. But it's not rocket science.
It isn't, Mark and Connor. Thank you very much. Forest Green Rovers have scored in the National League in the early game there. They lead Solihull Moors by 1-0. They're in third, are Forest Green Rovers, so they will be on course for a playoff spot. Let's go around all the EFL games. There aren't many goals around so far. Hull Luton, first of all. John Bennett.
And not much quality either, Mark, in this game. Hull City 0, Luton Town 0. You can feel the nerves inside the ground in this relegation battle. Hull on top, pressure-wise, possession-wise, but it's Luton actually who've had the 2 best chances. Adebayo hitting the post with a low shot, and Morris should have done better. A free kick played to him in the penalty area, scuffed his shot wide. Hull City lacking quality in attack, to say the least. Hull City 0, Luton Town 0.
Goalless at Vicarage Road as well. Sahil Sahi.
I think we can just play what John just said there, Mark. My game as well. We've got 9 minutes to play in the first half. Watford 0, Plymouth 0. They've been scrappy at best. The first chance of the game fell to the visitors through Ryan Hardy after 28 minutes. So the low shot from the edge of the area. The Watford goalkeeper, Selvik, he did well to turn it around the post. 8 minutes to go in the first half. Watford 0, Plymouth 0.
We do have goals to bring you in League One, starting with Becky Ives at Charlton.
I've got 2 to tell you about. A dominant first half here from Charlton. 2-0 up within 20 minutes. Thierry Small sent in a cross from the right-hand side after picking up a loose ball. Starman Matty Godden was there to head it home. That was after 30 seconds into the game. The second long ball over the top found Luke Berry into the path of Tyrese Campbell, who took a touch before firing it left-footed into the bottom right-hand corner. Tell you what, they could have had more here. Pretty woeful from Huddersfield as it stands. Charlton 2, Huddersfield Town 0.
Got there in the end. Thank you. Stockport have the lead against Burton in the other game in League One. Carl Wootton got that early on for Dave Challoner's side. He's got 10 for the season. Stockport 1, Burton 0. Back to the goalless games, starting with Sarah Mulkerrins in League 2 at Accrington.
Yeah, it's Accrington 0, Bradford 0. The hosts looking much the better so far. Bradford's defence, they've been forced into some important and scrambling blocks and clearances at time. Kelsey Mooney and Ben Woods have had long-range efforts that couldn't find the target. For the visitors, who haven't quite performed as they would have hoped so far, Brad Halliday, he put a header wide at the far post, and Callum Kavanagh has just fired an effort over. It is goalless between Accrington and Bradford.
Anything of note at Gresty Road, Betty Glover?
Well, no goals, Mark, to tell you about. Crewe 0, Port Vale 0. The visitors have had the best chance of the game so far, though. Crosdale with a shot on target, a left-footed volley, but Marshall in the Crewe goal produced a brilliant save with his feet. Crewe have looked sort of dangerous themselves as well. Mark Holycheck sent a shot wide a few moments ago. They've had the most draws in the league this season, Mark, and I can see why. It's Crewe 0, Port Vale 0.
Forest Green Rovers still lead Solihull Moors by a goal in the National League. 5 minutes to go to half-time there. Blackburn 0, Southampton 0 in the Women's Championship this afternoon. 6 minutes or so gone between France and Scotland in the Women's Six Nations. No points on the board there either. And in the early game in the United Rugby Championship this afternoon, Bulls 14, Zebra 7. You're up to date with all the latest scores. 9 minutes past 1. Here's Richard Foster.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thanks, Mark. Good afternoon. International rescue teams are starting to arrive in Myanmar to help search for those missing after yesterday's earthquake. More than 1,000 people are confirmed to have been killed. John McGowan is from the humanitarian charity Plan International. He says people are struggling to deal with what's happened.
We have heard, just based on the devastation from yesterday, that people have been afraid to, stay in their homes, afraid of aftershocks, also quite traumatized, and staying outside kind of indicates how dramatic and the trauma that people have been put through.
3 people have died in a house fire in Northamptonshire. The emergency services were called to the village of Rushden near Kettering last night. Thousands of pro-democracy protesters are back on the streets of Istanbul in support of the city's jailed mayor, Ekrem İmamoğlu, who's President Erdogan's main rival. Almost 2,000 people have been arrested since the protests started there 10 days ago. A man's been charged with murder after an alleged road rage incident in Greater Manchester. Paul Bowles, who was 50, died after an argument between 2 drivers in Chadderton on Wednesday night. Andrew Robson, who's 32, is due in court later. A British man's been praised for tackling a suspected attacker to the ground in central Amsterdam. He restrained him till the police arrived after 5 people were stabbed near the Dutch capital's Dam Square on Thursday. And more than 100,000 fans will be on the streets of Newcastle this afternoon to celebrate the club's Carabao Cup win. An open-top bus parade will start at St James's Park and make its way through the city centre.
BBC Radio 5 Live.
In this city, it's personal.
It's the visitors from across the park who get the derby match underway.
Lines are drawn the day you're born, if not before. It divides and defines your friends, your family and your loved ones.
We get under their skin.
Are you a red or are you a blue? The Merseyside Derby.
Wednesday night at 8. Listen live on BBC Sounds. This is 5 Live Sports.
With Mark Chapman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Back to Craven Cottage shortly, where Crystal Palace lead 2-0 in the first of the weekend's FA Cup quarter-finals. This time next week, we'll be at Aintree for the Grand National. Today, though, we're at Doncaster for the first day of the flat season on the turf. The Lincoln Handicap is the feature race. That's at 3:35. John Hunt will be watching on for us. So you have 22 runners in the Lincoln, which is 12 fewer than the National next week. A lot of horses for you at the moment, aren't there?
Yeah, I like it that way, though, Mark. It's a good warm-up, isn't it, for next week? Can't wait for Aintree. Always something very special. But I think it's fair to say as well, for flat racing enthusiasts as well, this first day of the new turf season at Doncaster, the runners at the post for the first race, the 2-year-olds, it's punctuated by the Lincoln as the feature race of the day. There's always something special in the air about the promise of the Derby, just a matter of a couple of months away, and Royal Ascot, of course, round the corner, and all the big summer festivals as well. So it's a definite shift of gear, and it takes a little bit of getting used to, with so much jumping dominating our thoughts up until this point, and of course from Thursday onwards at Aintree next week as well with the Grand National. But today, a nice day racing at Doncaster. The Lincoln itself, Mark, as you say, 22 runners. The favourite to win the race today is Thunder Run. Carl Burke, his trainer's got a couple in the race this afternoon. Thunder Run had some wonderful form from last year, so he's going to be favourite. We've got the first, second and fourth horses from last year as well, Mr. Professor, Latam and Alpha Crucis. Mr. Professor and Alpha Crucis are big outsiders today, but Latam's very strongly fancied once again this year to go one better than last year, and loads of other interesting horses as well. So it really should be a really excellent centrepiece at 3:35 to a very competitive day's racing.
So how much on the first day of the flat is it an unknown for some of these horses? I mean, you talk about those that are out of form, you talk about who the favourite may be. Are we judging that on like a pre-season?
Yeah, I think you weigh up all sorts of factors. The form of their stables, for example, Thunder Run hasn't had a run since the end of last summer, so we're taking his fitness on trust. But he's trained by Carl Burke, whose horses are in very, very good form. But there are, of course, for the last 2 decades, Mark, there's been all-weather racing, synthetic tracks all the way through the winter, and quite a few horses like Fantastic Fox and Orne and Too Tempting in the Lincoln today have had recent runs on the synthetic track, so their fitness can be pretty much taken as granted. So yeah, it is a bit of a puzzle, but it's those pieces of the puzzle that I suppose make the game so appealing to so many people.
Absolutely. What else catches your eye this afternoon then?
Well, we mentioned Carl Burke with Thunder Run in the Lincoln. Big chance there. Carl could easily dominate today's racing. The other 2 races of real note today, we'll be keeping a close eye on both of them. The Camage Trophy at 225. Carl's got the 2 favourites there, Marshman and Spycatcher. Either one of those could be very conceivably be the winner there. And the Doncaster Mile at 3 o'clock, again, Carl with a very high-profile horse called Liberty Lane, who had some excellent form from last season as well. I'll be keen to see how Witch Hunter gets on there. Witch Hunter ran in some of the best 1-mile races of the last couple of years, including Royal Ascot and the Lockinge. So he could be, if he's really approaching peak form as well, Witch Hunter could take a little bit of beating in that Doncaster Mile too. Really good day's racing. As I say, Mark, it's a gear change. It's a change of emphasis, very definitely. But I suppose this time of year, the sport broadly, jumping and flat racing, is all the richer for it.
Absolutely. John, thank you very much. Back for commentary of the Camage Trophy at 2:25. We'll be with John at Aintree next Saturday. Were you taking notes, Ian?
I've already got a few selections for today. Yes, I have.
Did it match the experts?
He didn't. Funnily enough, John didn't mention it. No.
Right. There's a surprise. Which horse are you throwing into the mix?
You're going to regret asking that.
Well, are you going to tell me?
Old Cock.
Okay. Now, didn't even rehearse that. Right then, as far as this game this afternoon, moving swiftly on.
Yes, Celtic against Hearts. It'll be interesting to see how Celtic respond to that defeat against Rangers before the international break. They lost their 24-match unbeaten home league record against Rangers, but if you actually look back at their own record at home, 2020 was the last time they actually lost back-to-back home games. That was against Sparta Prague and Ross County. And Hearts haven't really got a good track record when they travel down the M8. They've only had 1 win in 27 visits to Celtic Park.
Couldn't you have just said any other horse? You could have just said any other horse. I mean, Celtic could win the title before the split, couldn't they?
Well, the split is after they're 13 points clear, so Rangers would need to drop points.
Yes.
The top 6 will split after 33 matches, and then so you probably, I think in all realistic, you're looking at maybe them winning it once that fixture schedule is known. It'll be probably around the 15th of April. That is determined, when the top 6 play each other. They certainly won't want the situation where Celtic can win the title against Rangers. That will be something that they will try to avoid when they come up with the fixture schedule. But it will just be a question of when rather than if, because Celtic have only dropped 15 points all season.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Let's go back to Craven Cottage. Mark Schwarzer and Conor McNamara in position. If you're Marco Silva, Mark,
you've lost your composure there, Chapman.
Well,
I mean, you're flustered.
I mean, it's not often I get caught unawares, but I mean, I wasn't really expecting that. We're talking about Fulham anyhow, aren't we, Conor and Mark? If you're Marco Silva, you're saying, well, apart from a 4-minute spell, really, and then maybe sort of 5 minutes before half-time, you showed enough to be able to get back into this.
Yes, they did, and I think because they're losing that spark, he's gone with the same 11 that finished that first 45 minutes, so he's obviously decided to stick with it. But I wouldn't be surprised, obviously, if something doesn't change in the next sort of 10 minutes or so of this second half, that he doesn't make a change, because I think he'll have to, because they did go a little bit flat towards the back end of that first half.
Half times in the early games in the EFL. Let's go to Crewe. Betty Glover.
It is Crewe 0, Port Vale 0, but Crewe will definitely be the happier side going into the break. Few brilliant chances just before the whistle. First brilliant run from Conway, he passed along, who was in on goal, but his shot was well saved, as was the rebound. Then a few moments later, Lowry took a shot from the edge of the box, looked like it was nestling into that top right corner, but it just clipped the top of the crossbar. So it's Crewe 0, Port Vale 0.
Half-time at Hull, John Bennett.
0-0 between Hull City and Luton Town. A lot riding on this. So Luton 4 points from safety. Hull 3 points above the drop zone. Tension not making for a great game, but Casey Palmer had a brilliant chance for Hull just before half-time. His shot charged down for Luton. Adebayo hit the post. Hull City 0, Luton Town 0.
All yours, Connor.
Thanks very much, Mark. Back underway at Craven Cottage. Fulham with work to do, trailing in this FA Cup quarter-final by 2-0 to Crystal Palace. Fulham came back out early for the start of the second half, no doubt, drummed up by coach Marco Silva, who knows that his team have their work cut out now to try and get back into a game which they seem to be in very good nick in. Here's Muniz with a good turn, taken down by Chris Richards. He dramatically fell there, Rodrigo Muniz, and the referee comes out and shows the yellow card to Chris Richards. So within seconds of the restart, another yellow card for the visitors. Mark Schwarzer.
Yeah, it's a really good turn from Muniz there. He does well, and yeah, it wasn't a great challenge, was it, from Richards? He does go through Muniz. I mean, it was very theatrical once again from Muniz. That's one element of it where I think the referee, more often than not, will not give him something, because he, more often than not, just makes such a big deal of any kind of challenge.
So Richards has got to be careful now. Wharton was also booked in the first half, but kind of feels like Palace would nearly need to lose a player to a red card or something to really give Fulham a stab at getting back into this now with the 2-goal deficit. As Castagna tries to play the ball towards Sasa Lukic, but it goes too far ahead of the Serb, and out it goes for a goal kick. In the Championship, Watford against Plymouth. They've reached half-time at Vicarage Road. Sahel Sahi.
Yeah, Watford 0, Plymouth 0. Connor, only one moment of quality foul to Ryan Hardy of Plymouth. A low left-footed effort from the edge of the area was well smothered away by Salvik. A draw won't suit either side, Connor. Half-time, Watford 0, Plymouth 0.
Yeah, Plymouth, who provided so much entertainment to this FA Cup run earlier on, and we all said, well, if they can play this well when they go back to, you know, their life of the Championship, they'll be okay this season. But Plymouth have lost 4 of their last 5 games now. What about Accrington against Bradford? This is in League 2. Another lunchtime kickoff. Is Sarah Mulcairns.
Goalless at the break, Connor. Second place Bradford will have to find a lot more if they are to go top today. They've offered very little. Callum Kavanagh, the best of the few chances for them. He fired his shot over. The hosts have threatened more without a breakthrough. Tame effort from Seamus Connolly forced the only save of the game so far. It's Accrington 0, Bradford 0.
Thanks, Sarah. So the goals for Palace, Eze and Sarr in the first half. Eze scoring the first one, setting up the second. You get all these stats at half-time in a game, but one that stood out for me from Opta is that Ebe Eze attempted just 2 passes in the first half, like not even completed 2 passes. He attempted to, so he's completely peripheral in the first half, and yet he plays a huge part in this 2-goal lead that Crystal Palace have.
Peripheral and instrumental.
Adding to a very good week for him as Robinson tries to cross to the left-hand side and wins a corner for Fulham. That's a bit better, but as Eze scoring for England in the week, scoring for Palace here, setting up the other one, showing us all just how good he is. Corner to Fulham. Can they make this an exciting FA Cup quarter-final in the second half here? Willian, whose set-piece deliveries have been good so far. Iwobi has come out asking, can he take this one? And Willian says, no, I got this. There's Muniz and Anderson and Bassi all wait patiently in the middle. Sanderberg is a huge target, tallest of them. Here it comes from Willian. Richards heads out for Crystal Palace, comes to Andreas Pereira on the edge of the box. He'll give it to Iwobi, combining with Willian. Fulham holding onto the ball, but can they get into a dangerous position here? Andreas Pereira chips into the box, off balance. Richards does well to win the header. Palace get it away again. Palace, who did defend well in the first half when they were under pressure, and they might have to defend well in the second half too. You'd hear groans in the background because Anderson, the halfway line, has passed it all the way back to the goalkeeper Bernd Leno, and Fulham want their team to be more on the front foot. They don't want to see them retreating today. It is half-time at the Valley. Charlton against Huddersfield. Becky Ives.
Where Charlton are 2-0 up. A dominant first half display, and those two goals were both within 20 minutes. Matty Godden, Tyrese Campbell on the score sheet. They could have had more. Pretty woeful from Huddersfield without any chances of note. Charlton 2, Huddersfield Town 0.
Celtic against Hearts coming up. Full commentary at 3 o'clock in the Scottish Premiership. Here on 5 Live with Ian Dennis and Pat Nevin. Iwobi on the halfway line for Fulham. Plays it infield to Willian, back to Iwobi. No ground made there. Alex Iwobi back to Willian. Ishmael Sarr is back goal side. Willian over by the touchline, far side of the pitch from us. Fulham playing from left to right as we look down in this second half in their white shirts, white socks, black shorts. Crystal Palace in their traditional blue and red. Sasa Lukic back into the centre circle again. Fulham finding it hard to break into the final third at the moment. Leno's the goalkeeper for Fulham. Castagna, Anderson, Bassi and Robinson are the defenders. In midfield it's Lukic and Berger with Willian, Iwobi and Pereira behind Muniz as the ball goes out of play, and it's going to be possession back to Palace in their right full back position. Henderson the goalkeeper for Crystal Palace. Back three, Richards, Lacroix, Gehi. Then with a line of 4, Munoz is the right wing back, Wharton Lerm in the middle, Mitchell the left wing back, and then Ishmael Sarr and Eberechi Eze behind Jean-Philippe Matete back in the team today wearing the protective headgear. Henderson's taking forever to take this, and it's already getting on the nerves of the Fulham fans who feel Palace are wasting time already.
Yeah, they're more than happy just to let the game slow down a little bit, take their time. The more the fans get a bit annoyed by it, they'll be feeling like it's job done.
Anderson jumps and wins the header ahead of Sarr. Lukic has it inside the centre circle, but again he's got to turn and he's got to go backwards, and everything is a bit labour heavy at the moment from Fulham. This is Iwobi. Does well to keep away from Richards. Willian tries to accelerate down the left hand side, sends in a decent cross. Gehi underneath it, puts it out for a corner to Fulham again. Can they make this set piece count?
Yeah, it's another one where the ball was played into the box. It was a good ball from Willian once again, and it was awkward for Gehi. He does well just to get enough on it to get it out for a corner. Fulham have to take advantage of all these set plays they're getting.
I mentioned that Palace were FA Cup finalists in 90 and 2016. Fulham have only once reached an FA Cup final, beaten by West Ham in the mid-70s. The corner comes in from Willian, out to Pereira on the edge of the penalty area. He's placed it backwards again to Robinson. There's plenty of white shirts forward here, but can Fulham get it into any of them? Willian dancing over it on the left wing for Fulham. Plays in the cross, headed though by Mateta. Standing on guard on the edge of the penalty area. Eze then release a good ball to Munoz, and Munoz tries to give it back into the middle to Sarr. It was too far ahead of him, and Leno comes out of his penalty area and is able to clear it away. This is the danger for Fulham. They now, at 2-0 down, must push forward, but when they do, they leave themselves exposed to that sort of Crystal Palace counter-attack. 2-0 for the moment, with 7 minutes played in the second half here on 5 Live. And this is Eze, tried to flick it over the top of the head of Sanderberger, but he's so big and tall, Berger, that it hit him in the head, on his forehead, and Fulham regained possession. Sasa Lukic to Robinson on the far side, back into the feet of Sanderberger. Has a look up, plays it crossfield. Anderson, directly below us, Timothy Castagna. The pressure from Mitchell sends him backward again, and now Anderson goes all quarterback and tries to pick out wide receiver Anderson. It's a great crossfield ball, controlled by Willian. This is Robinson to the byline, tries to pull it back. Palace under pressure, they get it away. That was better from Fulham. That's what they've got to do more of. Then Castagna grabs the shirt eventually when he didn't need to do that, and it's a free kick to Palace, and that relieves some pressure.
Yeah, really good move from Fulham there. Anderson's ball, crossfield switch was excellent. Willian takes it on the volley, does so well. The ball in the box was excellent. The only thing is, Lukic has just made that run to the near post a little bit too early, and as the ball gets played to him, it's a little bit behind him. He doesn't get a chance to get a shot off on goal, but the intent was very, very good.
And later on this afternoon, it's week 2 of the Women's Six Nations. Wales face England in Cardiff. That is live on Sports Extra at 4:30 today. You can also watch on BBC Two. And speaking of rugby, all episodes of the Bloodgate story on the Sport Changes crime feed available on BBC Sounds right now. This is Andreas Pereira, back to Alex Iwobi, up to the halfway line to Muniz. Maybe Lacroix holding on to him there. Muniz appeals and eventually gets the free kick his way. And those cheers you hear are an irate Fulham fan base who feel they need to be getting more of those sort of free kicks. Darren Ingle, I can see why he let that go. He thought Muniz is strong, he's going to wriggle free of this. But then when he ultimately did give the free kick, then of course all the complaints as to why he didn't give it earlier.
Well, I mean, it just shows you if he stays on his feet, if he actually holds the ball up rather than throws himself on the ground, that he's going to win a free kick. He needed to be stronger, and he was on that occasion, and he rightly got the free kick. You're right. The referee was trying to play an advantage. In the end, it didn't happen, so the free kick given.
It's going to be a throw into Palace here. Mitchell again taking his time, as Palace do at any restart. That's what teams do when they've got a 2-goal lead in a cup game. Eventually throws it to Wharton, who launches it long into the Fulham half, and Calvin Bassey's slightly miscued header goes into the crowd. So throw in again for Mitchell, but this time much further up the field. And he's been ushered to get on with it there. Takes the throw into Mateta, back to Eze. Eze tries to spin away, did well to spin away from Berger, but ran into Castagna, who was outside of his peripheral vision. Free kick given to Fulham. No time to waste now. Iwobi takes it quickly, but too quickly. And it's less haste, more speed for Fulham there. Has Iwobi in his speed to try and take the free kick quickly, gave possession away, and now his team remain under pressure. Mitchell on the left-hand side for Crystal Palace, into the feet of Jefferson Lerma, back to the halfway line to Mark Gahey. Palace playing much more relaxed now with the 2-goal lead. Sarr wins a flick-on header ahead of Robinson. Munoz, can he cross on the right-hand side? Great ball in, Eze attacking it. Castagna was so brave. He had ground to make up, but he threw his head into danger there to head the ball clear. That was a very important interception for Fulham.
Yeah, brilliant defending from Castagna there. He knew he had to get on the end of it, otherwise there's a free header from just on the 6-yard box there. It's a really good ball into the box from Munoz. Does so well. Castagna, brilliant defending.
Throw into Palace on the far side, taken by Munoz. Lerma outside of the boot to Mark Gahey. Earlier on, if you weren't in our coverage of the first half, Jefferson Lerma scored almost one of the best goals I've seen this season, where he hit it full of a volley way outside the penalty area. It was a high looping, arcing shot that came down onto the top of the crossbar. It would have been spectacular. And at the time, it stayed 0-0. Today's attendance, 26,222. Pretty much full house. Although now that I say that, many football fans, perhaps discouraged by the 2-goal lead, the Fulham fans, I think, have stayed in the posh hospitality on the far side, because the closer you get to the halfway line, the more empty seats on the far side. I think the closer to the halfway line, the nicer the food at half time, and they're staying there for the food and the beverages. As Castagna attacks down the right hand side, caught by Mitchell. Now the ball goes out, corner to Fulham on the right-hand side. Can Fulham get one goal back here that might spur the interest of those in the hospitality lounges to come back out and watch the action?
Yeah, they certainly need a goal, and they need it very, very quickly now, because otherwise the game could easily go away from them. The more they push, the more the opportunities may arise for Palace. So for Fulham, it's vitally important they get one back
Here
sooner.
Comes the corner, played in by Willian. Good delivery again. Anderson close to it, but Richards gets his head first. Now Pereira stabs it into the box. Sarr backpedaling, wins an important header. Munoz doesn't fully clear. Sarr again. More distance on it this time, but each time Palace try to clear away, they give it to a Fulham player. This time it's Bassey on the far side. Munoz lunges in on him. Ball goes out of play. Good play from Munoz to get a throw in for his team. Palace, who are so sturdy, particularly away from home, where they haven't lost a game on their travels since October. Oliver Glasner's team, they're used to digging in this sort of situation. And with a 2-goal lead, they are looking comfortable for now.
I mean, that's really impressive, and even more impressive, they haven't conceded a goal since middle of December away from home either. So, I mean, you add that to the mix, I mean, it's really, really impressive.
Well, it's up to Fulham. They are begging for a sprinkle of FA Cup magic to come their way here. Otherwise, it's going to be Crystal Palace going through to Wembley for the FA Cup semi-final. Anderson has possession for Fulham. They're playing with the sun on their backs in the second half. Up to Andreas Pereira. Too casual the way he flicked it on for Muniz there. Too easy for Mark Gahey to make the interception. Palace get it back to the goalkeeper Henderson away to our right-hand side, and he clears right-footed straight to Sander Berger. Fulham get it back briefly. Sasa Lukic then battling with Jefferson Lerma. Castagna gets a touch. It's all a bit scrappy at the moment. Willian, though, gets the ball back down on the deck. Heavy touch shows too much to Chris Richards. Sasa Lukic wins it back, gives it to Willian again. Fulham on the attack. Iwobi's delivery in. Richards is having a good second half. Heads it out for a corner kick. Corner to Fulham. Can they make this count? With the hour mark now bearing down upon us at Craven Cottage, and Fulham preparing to make at least one, if not two, substitutions.
Yeah, another really good ball in the box. unfortunately for Fulham, you can just see there just not enough players making a run. Muniz is just too slow. He's not making the run to that near post area. There was an opportunity.
Corner comes in from the right hand side. Anderson trying a little backheel flick, comes back to him, left footed shot low, not much power on it. Loose ball ricochets to Andreas Pereira here, whose cross is disappointing, and Ismail Assar was able to clear it away for Crystal Palace, who at the moment are all hands on deck as they defend the edge of their penalty area. Fulham are giving it a go here, but they trail by 2-0 on the FA Cup on BBC Radio 5 Live. Let's go to Hull against Luton in the Championship this lunchtime. John Bennett is at the MKM Stadium. John.
Big goal for Luton. Hull City 0, Luton Town 1. A bizarre goal. Colton Morris threw on goal, took the shot, and it took a couple of ricochets and bounced into the net. I think it will go down as an own goal. Hull City 0, Luton Town 1.
Thanks very much, John. So the substitutes being prepared by Marco Silva are Adama Traore and, unless my eyes deceive me, that's Emile Smith-Rowe, isn't it? So 2 attacking players getting ready to come on for Fulham, who need 2 goals here, Mark.
Yeah, they do, and I'm a little bit surprised Raul Jimenez has come on either. He's got 4 goals away on international duty. Obviously, preservation, making sure that he's fit enough. He's played a lot of football, the distance he's travelled, but Fulham needs something else up front.
At the moment, Crystal Palace with a 2-goal advantage. Both goals within 4 minutes of each other in the first half, scored by Eze and by Sarr. And Fulham have been struck down by that double blow, and they've struggled to get back and start asking questions of their own. Muniz chases one here, but Henderson comfortably beats him to it. Clears it right-footed, high up over the halfway line. Came off the arm of Bassi, but not intentional. Arms in by his side, play on. Calvin Bassi gets the ball at his feet. Rolls it infield to Sasa Lukic. Lukic onto Castagna. Fulham still struggling to find the rhythm. They've had one good attack when Anderson played the crossfield ball, but otherwise it's all been a bit going through the motions from Marco Silva's team. They need improvement. Robinson into Andreas Pereira, out to Willian, who's probably been their brightest spark. Sander Berge now, they're moving it around the central area here, but can Fulham get it into a dangerous shooting position? Andreas Pereira back to Calvin Bassi. Palace happy for Fulham to have the ball here at the moment. They realise they're not doing an awful lot with it. Here is Anderson again near the centre circle, gives it to the near touchline to Castagna. Back infield to Iwobi again. Head up, scanning the horizon, sees that Robinson has made ground on the left wing, plays it out to him, but the American immediately greeted by Munoz, and the Colombian is able to clear it away for Palace once again.
Yeah, again, it's just too slow from Fulham. It's easy for Palace to defend against. In the first half, there was a lot more movement off the ball. At the moment, there's a lot of static players out there for Fulham. They're just lacking a little bit of ideas, and obviously these substitutions can't come along quick enough for them.
Ball still in play. Fulham waiting to make the changes. If you missed the Football Daily Pod this week, it includes the story of how Blackburn won the Premier League 30 years ago with Sir Kenny Dalglish, Alan Shearer and Chris Sutton joining Kelly Cates. That's available on the Football Daily Pod feed on BBC Sounds right now. Joachim Anderson in possession for Fulham, rolls it back to Bernd Leno. Fulham needs something special here, or their FA Cup run is going to come to an end over the next 30 minutes. Anderson into Sasa Lukic, bandage on his right arm, plays it again too far ahead of Muniz. The delivery up towards him today has really bypassed him, particularly since the goals.
Yeah, no, they've struggled really. They have struggled with any kind of real identity structure, trying to go forward, and they've lacked movement. That's been one of the biggest issues as well.
Okay, Sasa Lukic is the first to be hooked. Adama Traore and Emile Smith-Rowe both coming on. Adama Traore has been involved in all but 2 of Fulham's Premier League games this season. Smith-Rowe, who is the record signing, joined from Arsenal this summer, 4 Premier League goals for him. Andreas Pereira, the other player, departing. So Marco Silva going for this, as he must do now, bringing on 2 attacking players, and that leaves his team top heavy now. He's got Iwobi, Willian, Smith-Rowe, Traore and Muniz, all attacking minded players. Fulham need 2 goals.
Yeah, you see Iwobi's gone inside into the midfield role. He's taken over from Lukic. Adama Traore's come out here on the right hand side, and of course you've got Emile Smith-Rowe, who's then tucked in behind Muniz up front. So hopefully for Fulham now there's a little bit more creativity, a bit more movement, a bit more energy.
Celtic against Hearts to come here on 5 Live at 3 o'clock. Adama Traore involved for the first time. Gets away from Tyreek Mitchell but runs into Mark Gahey. And between them, the two Palace defenders are able to clear the ball away. Iwobi miscontrols, drones to the Fulham fans. Sarr's pass to Munoz wasn't great, but Munoz has made the most of it, getting there ahead of Anthony Robinson, charging down the right wing now. He takes on Sander Berge, who's done well. Fulham regain possession, but they're back in their left full-back position. So Celtic Hearts to come at 3. Brighton against Nottingham Forest, another of the FA Cup quarter-finals to come here on this network at 5:15 as Joachim Andersen clears it away. High hoofed clearance that comes down from the clouds right about the halfway line. Mark Gahey wins the header. Wharton gets it on the deck. Nice run from Wharton, challenged by Emile Smith-Rowe. Fulham recapture possession again, but they're back on the edge of their own penalty area. The FA Cup quarter-final. Craven Cottage on the edge of the River Thames. Munoz, 10 yards outside the Fulham penalty area. No real urgency with a 2-goal lead, so he turns and retreats. And back to Lacroix in the centre circle, and Richards on his right-hand side. Palace looking up towards the stadium clock, which they see is ticking on in their favour. Fulham get it back with Robinson on the far side. This is Calvin Bassey, still 10 yards inside his own half. Anderson through the centre circle to Iwobi. Iwobi to the left wing to Robinson. Slow progress being made here by Fulham, who need to somehow get this in around the penalty area with more frequency. 25 minutes now to play.
Yeah, Fulham just have been a bit almost like nervy at times. They've struggled to find any sort of patterns of play, wayward passing.
Here comes Ballas again. Sarr charging up against Berge into the penalty area. The two of them shoulder bang into each other, and the ball goes out of play. Goal kick. Referee deciding there's no foul as both players spilled off the pitch. Ismail Sarr slow to return to the playing surface. That's all the noise in the background. But I think that the manner of the goals, Mark, that the proximity from 1-0 to immediately to 2-0, it took so much wind out of Fulham's sails, and you can visibly see the self-doubt that has crept in ever since that double whammy.
It has, and also for Palace. Palace are happy enough just to stay compact. They need to put pressure on. Only when they start to come into Palace's half that Palace start to put a little bit of pressure on the ball, and then Fulham just don't have any ideas. There's lack of movement. There's not really in behind, and it's been easy for Palace to defend against.
Here's the chance. Traore to the byline right-hand side, but he can't pick his cross. He had time, he had space there. He's unable to deliver. He was cut out by the first defender. More disappointment for Fulham.
I mean, it's a great example there whereby Fulham do on a very rare occasion get in behind. That was only because of a mistake from Tyreek Mitchell. Couldn't control the ball, lost it under his feet, and all of a sudden you see that Adama Traore's through. He's got an opportunity to whip a ball into the box, and he just hits a low shot.
That's a nice scoop. Willian trying to pick out Robinson, intercepted by Munoz.
A low shot into that 6-yard area, and it's just very easily cleared.
Willian on the ball again, delivers across from the left wing, headed away by Tyreek Mitchell. Now there's a tussle between Eze and Castagna. Eze goes to ground, referee says throw into Fulham. Eze is forced to get up. Anderson gets the throw into his feet. Inside him is Iwobi. No time to waste for Fulham now. Sander Berge up to Willian just outside the penalty area, tries to shoot. Stretching goalkeeper Henderson touches it away. You know, that wasn't all that dissimilar to the Eze goal in the first half. Not quite as good a shot from Willian, but it still needed some saving, and Henderson was able to claw it away and out for this corner kick.
It's also taken a deflection. As Williams let loose for the strike, it's taken a deflection, and it then took pace off the ball, and it looped a little bit, and it gave Henderson time to get across and make the save.
Here it comes, headed down by Anderson. Bassey can't get it over the line. He was only 2 yards out, but he couldn't shovel it. Anderson again shoots, and it's blocked by Lacroix. Dangerous from Fulham. That's more like it from Marco Silva's team.
Yeah, loads better. Bassey's run was excellent.
Here comes Alex Iwobi down the left-hand side for Fulham, but again he can't deliver the cross. He does get a corner, but Fulham from those wide areas have got to be more precise. Corner to Fulham as the confetti blows in the wind in front of us, and Willian runs across to take the corner kick.
Just watching the replay there, Bassey, he just runs in like a steam train, throws himself at the challenge, and he's unlucky. He's really unfortunate. He's on the ground, he tries to go for a second attempt, and Palace managed to clear.
5 Live and BBC Sounds, the FA Cup on BBC Sport, as Iwobi collects the ball on the edge of the penalty area from the corner. Swings in a dangerous ball, but there's no one on the end of it. He played it in to the far post area from where he struck that on the right-hand side, but it was guided out and shepherded out by Palace, knowing that that would be a goal kick. Fulham 0, Crystal Palace 2, as we enter the final quarter of the match. And there's a double change here for the visitors, and Jean-Philippe Mateta, who I'm sure you'll be aware was questionable as to whether he would even be involved today with that head injury. He has lasted 69 minutes, but he now departs, and they're going to take off one of the goal scorers to Ismaila Sarr. Is he leaving? I think he is. He's certainly gone over to the sideline, maybe just to get instructions.
Adam Wharton's going off.
Adam Wharton, the other player who is departing. So in terms of the change there, coming on, Daichi Kamada and Will Hughes are coming on in place of Wharton, and in Georgia, producer's writing it down and I can't read it.
Yeah, and Ketier's come on to replace
Mateta, who we already said, yes. Sorry, George.
Fulham substitution coming off number 22.
Fulham will make a change in this break of play as well. That looks like Raul Jimenez is ready to come on. Willian will depart. One of Fulham's brighter sparks and what's been a disappointing day otherwise. But Sessegnon is going to come on. So while they make all those changes, let's go for an update from Vicarage Road. Watford against Plymouth in the Championship. Sahel Sahi.
56 minutes played now. Watford 0, Plymouth 0, but a bit more fizz to this game in the second half. 2 chances for Watford fallen to Bayo and Batu, and both times their efforts were blocked by good defending from Plymouth. Plymouth on the attack, Hardy with a chance which he's missed. Watford 0, Plymouth 0.
Thanks very much, Sahel. So Ryan Sessegnon, who's had a real return to form lately, a player whose career had gone off the rails a bit at Spurs. He's only started 1 Premier League game since returning to Fulham, but he's got 2 goals in his last 3 Premier League appearances, Ryan Sessegnon, and now he is on here in the FA Cup. And Raul, Willian and Sanderberger, the 2 who've departed. No, and Iwobi, the 2 who've departed. No, Robinson, the 2 who've departed. My apologies. I'll get the substitutions right eventually. Right, throw into Palace, first out of the pitch for us. Munoz to take, 2-0 they lead. 19 minutes of the big stadium clock remaining in this one. This is a very good position for Crystal Palace to be in. News reaching us a goal at the Valley. Charlton against Huddersfield in League One. Becky Ives.
And Tyrese Campbell has a brace. He cut inside, let fly, found the bottom corner. Charlton 3, Huddersfield Town 0.
So that one appears to be done and dusted. Palace hoping that this one's going to be done and dusted. Will 2-0 be enough to send them to Wembley for the FA Cup semi-final? Munoz, good ball out to Lerma. What a great first touch that is from Lerma. If he can get to the byline, he spills off the pitch for a goal kick. It was a really good touch to take it past the defender, but then he just sprints to actually make it to the byline, and the ball just about beat him to it. Palace still looking comfortable here. There's not enough evidence here of a Fulham revival, but they're hoping the introduction of Raul Jimenez might increase their chances. He's fouled. Referee says play on because Fulham still have possession. Iwobi to the right wing to Adama Traore, stretching to keep the ball in play, but he's got to play it backwards to Castagna. Fulham retreating back inside their own half. Now Bassi has it onto Sanderberger. He'll come over the halfway line. Palace with all 11 players back behind the ball, and Ketia now with fresh legs can try and put a bit more pressure on the Fulham central defenders. They come groans in the background as Palace win it back again. Lerma in the midfield. Was that a foul by Raul Jimenez? It is. Free kick to Palace, and they will take their time over that. The boos and the cheers because Lerma's slow to get back to his feet. So 5 Live on BBC Sounds. Craven Cottage in the sunshine. Fulham 0, Crystal Palace 2. 17 minutes to go, Mark Swartz.
Yeah, there's a little bit of frantic play now from Fulham. There's a little niggly sort of fouls coming in. The minute Palace win the ball, Fulham are just trying to stop the play, trying to change the direction of the play.
Yellow card for time wasting.
Yeah, I mean that's what Palace are more than happy to take that. Really just slow things down. frustrate everyone in the stadium a little bit more.
So Lacroix, after standing over the free kick and not taking it and getting a yellow card, then walked away from the free kick. He's thinking, look, I've got the yellow, I might as well really waste as much time as I can here, and he left the free kick for Henderson to take as Palace come in the attack down the other end. Sarr unable to keep it in play by the byline, out it goes for a goal kick, and it's almost wrestled off him by an urgent Bernd Leno, who needs to get this ball back in play. Just over a quarter of an hour of normal time to go. Iwobi to Castagna. Fulham the wrong end of Craven Cottage from where they want to be. It's up to the feet of Raul Jimenez, but taken off him by Kamada, and a good ball from Kamada. If Nketiah's onside, there's no flag. Through the legs of the goalkeeper into the back of the net. It's 3-0 to Crystal Palace. They are on their way to Wembley unless Nketiah gets ruled offside. But the technology here, he runs to celebrate with the Crystal Palace fans. It's his first proper action since coming on as a substitute, through the legs of Leno, and it looks like Palace are going to Wembley for the semi-final. 3-0.
Yeah, excellent run from Nketiah. He does really well. He needs to get back the ball on his right foot, and as he does it with his right foot, he gets a bit of space. We'll see on the replay whether or not he's onside or not. That's the only doubt. That's the only thing Fulham will be hoping for. And I tell you what, it is really, really close whether he's onside or not. But when he does get the ball, tucks back in on his right-hand side, and he just slots it in under the goalkeeper, Bernd Leno's feet, into the back of the net. Nice, cool, calm. But I tell you what, this is really, really close as to whether he's onside or not.
Well, we've seen the replay. Ian Hutchin is the assistant on the far side, who's one of the best of the Premier League, and he kept his flag down, and the goal does stand. Correct on-field decision. 3-0 now. And 15 minutes. They are going to go charge to the light brigade here, Fulham, as they throw everyone in attack. But against a Crystal Palace defence that's refused to budge today, this is an incredibly tall order now for Marco Silva's team. And the old K Sarraz come out for the Palace supporters. They believe they are going to Wembley. Fulham battle on with Jimenez and Iwobi. But it's the goals from Eze, from Sarr, and from Nketiah that have given Oliver Glasner's team such a firm grip now. Singing in the sunshine, away from home in a London derby. This is perfect for Palace. Iwobi and Castagna have it in the midfield. There's no cohesion for Fulham today. It's all hard work and perspiration, not enough inspiration for Marco Silva's team as the ball goes out of play for a goal kick. And in his urgency to get the game restarted, Raul Jimenez himself will play ball boy, and that's unnecessary because in the multi-ball system he's only created a situation now that there's two balls on the pitch, and that actually helps Palace by delaying things even further. So we're just getting to see the semi-automated graphics, which are far more exciting than the ones we see in the Premier League. It's the sort of 3D animation you get to see in the major tournaments, and showing that Eddie Nketiah was onside there. Right, let's get an update from League Two. Accrington against Bradford at Wham Stadium. Sarah Mulcairns.
Goalless so far, and that means that second place Bradford would miss out the chance to go top of League Two if they can't win today. There's not been much on offer from them. Graham Alexander, their manager, has just made a quadruple substitution to try and force the energy change on the pitch. As things stand, it's Accrington 0, Bradford 0.
Fulham trying to get an energy change of their own here as Adama Traore battles to win a corner. 13 minutes to go, 3 goals behind, as Ryan Sessegnon comes sprinting across to take it. But all that noise you're hearing in the background of 5 Live coming from the Palace fans, who are celebrating what they believe to be a victory already. Fulham 0, Crystal Palace 3. Sessegnon runs up the little hill by the corner flag, sends it in low. Fulham on the verge of crashing out of the FA Cup at home. All that drama of beating Manchester United in the last round at Old Trafford. But is Fulham's FA Cup journey about to come to an end here at Craven Cottage this afternoon? Emil Smith-Rowe is back in a defensive role. He's the deepest lying outfield player at the moment for Fulham. They appear to be all over the place at the moment, Marco Silva's team. Another goal of the Valley, Becky Ives.
Charlton having fun here. 4-0 against Huddersfield Town. Greg Doherty with this goal. It was cut back from Tyrese Campbell. He was hanging around the penalty spot and he just smashed it into the back of the net. Charlton 4, Huddersfield Town 0.
Charlton having fun there. Crystal Palace having fun here as Anderson. Oh, he's done well to win tussle with Nketiah near the halfway line there and continue the charge almost to the edge of the penalty area that Fulham attack. Sessegnon gives it back to Anderson. Repeatedly in this game, Mark Swatcher, Fulham get into good positions of delivery, but they haven't been able to find that killer ball at all today.
No, they haven't really worked that well in the final third. Their movement hasn't been as great. First 15-20 minutes they were dangerous, caused Palace a lot of problems. From that point onwards, though, they've really struggled to cause them any decent sort of opportunities. And I think for Palace, they've just been really well organised. The back five have been excellent. They've worked really hard. They've been compact, difficult to break down, and they've been good for their scoreline. They've been ruthless in front of goal as well.
Crystal Palace fans continuing with their song, "Whatever will be, will be." They are on their way to the FA Cup semi-final. And it seems very, very unlikely that Fulham will come back from here. You never know, particularly in club football, you never know. But it would appear that Fulham are out of ideas today. Anderson to Raul Jimenez, who's not been able to make an impact since coming on. Iwobi dances in off the right touchline, gives it to the feet of Sander Berger. Big mud patch covering the number 16 on his back. Ryan Sessegnon tries to get to that crossing position but unable to deliver, and out comes Dean Henderson to gather. Now, did he step off the field of play? As he did. In the referee assistant's view, the goalkeeper brought that out the field of play while catching it, and that makes it a corner to Fulham.
Well, it was a deflection on the cross, so I don't know whether the ball went out already. You can see the deflection on the cross. Yeah, it's clearly out. Yeah, you can see it was out, and it was before Henderson actually touches the ball, but it had already taken the deflection.
Sessegnon's corner. Mooney's got up, but he couldn't get his head to it. Iwobi gathers at the edge of the penalty area as Palace step out. And Emile Smith-Rowe picks a clever pass to Anderson, but he's still midway inside the Crystal Palace half. Poor ball forward by Anderson. That was a tired ball. Didn't get the elevation it needed. As Eze picks up the loose ball for Palace, threads it through. That's offside. Sarr one-on-one with the goalkeeper. Saved by Leno anyway, but the flag belatedly goes up. We could see that was right in line where myself and Mark Schwartz were sitting. We could see that Ismaila Sarr was offside there.
Yeah, he was a good 4 or 5 yards offside. The linesman obviously allows play to go on, as does the referee. And then it was a really good save from Bernd Leno.
Good ball by Iwobi over the top. Castagna stretching, but again, can't beat the first defender with the cross. That's been the story of this FA Cup quarter-final from a Fulham point of view. Daichi Kamada, low ball to Jefferson Lerma, keeps it going in the midfield. Palace minding possession now with Nketiah. Slide from Jimenez, but he can't get the ball off him. A slide from Sessegnon, but he can't get it off Munoz. Nketiah controls it again. Little dink over the top. One for Munoz to go chasing after. And stretching all the way to the byline was Anderson to put it out for a corner. Corner to Crystal Palace. They'll take their time over this. 8 minutes of normal time to play.
Yeah, they're in total control of this game, aren't they? Every time they get the ball, there's space all over the park because Fulham are obviously desperate. They're trying to push forward, trying to make something happen. And for Palace, it's all about keeping their composure and getting the right pass at the right time. They're going to punish Fulham even more.
Right, final throw of the dice from Marco Silva. He brings on Tom Kearney in place of a tired-looking Alex Iwobi. Tom Kearney, who scored and was sent off in the game against Tottenham in December, scored against Palace here in the Premier League a few years back. But it would appear that Fulham on home soil are out of time today. 8 minutes to go, 3 goals behind. More light football coming up. Celtic against Hearts, 3 o'clock here on 5 Live, and we'll bring you Brighton against Forest in the Cup at 5:15. Corner to be taken by Eze from the far side of the pitch from us. Outswinger, Richards jumps, does well, can't get it on target though. Goal kick to Fulham. So if you just joining our coverage today on 5 Live, Eze and Sarr both scoring within 4 minutes of each other in the first half to set Crystal Palace on their way. Eddie Nketiah getting the third goal that really has broken hearts for Fulham in this second half. There's Wico to Christie Road, Crew against Port Vale and Betty Glover.
Goalless here, feels very open this though. Crew looked the slightly brighter side. Lewis Billington had a brilliant chance, but he fired a shot over the bar. Moments later, Deborah nearly turned a Crew corner into the back of the net. It is Crew 0, Port Vale 0.
Well, the Fulham are on their way out of the FA Cup today. They will renew their pursuit of a European place through the Premier League standings. That win against Tottenham in their most recent match really strengthened Fulham's bid for a European place. It elevated Marco Silva's team up into the top 8. Today will be a disappointment for them, particularly the manner in which they control the opening half hour of the game. But you've got to score at this elite level when you've got a purple patch in the game. If you don't score, it so often comes back to haunt you. And that really is what happened to Fulham today. Palace so grateful to get that double whammy, 2 goals in quick succession, and Fulham haven't been able to react to it at all. Sarr, edge of his own penalty area, clears away from Palace. Any error will do, just launches it down the field, just building on the frustrations of the home side, who are about to be put out of their misery. There's 6 minutes to play.
Yeah, it's terrible when you're 3-0 down at home in an FA Cup game, or any game for that matter. It's just a terrible feeling. You know you're chasing the game, but the likelihood is it's probably not going to be enough.
Down goes Raul Jimenez on the edge of the penalty area. Gets back to his feet again though as Castagna drills in across. Muniz controls, can't get the shot on target. Maybe another chance for the Brazilian. Too many defenders in the way though. Tom Kearney, edge of the box, gives it to Emile Smith-Rowe. He's not added anything since coming on. Here's the delivery into the penalty area. I think it came off Adama Traore's head, and he immediately runs after it to try and keep the ball in play as Palace regain possession, and Eze clears. He knows there's no teammate up the field, but that just relieves the pressure for Palace, and he sends it all the way back to Bernd Leno. Fulham 0, Crystal Palace 3. Kearney, crossfield ball, looking for Castagna, sun in his eyes as he controls it. Into the penalty area to Adama Traore. Back out again to Castagna. Berger on the edge of the box. This similar pattern that Fulham have deployed all afternoon. They hover around the edge of the Palace penalty area, but they can't get into it with any effect today. Kearney tries to keep it going and he's lost it, and Munoz will come on the charge, and this is the chance of a counter-attack. Look at the space for Eze, if Munoz can spot him, and he doesn't. Eze was all on his own there, but Munoz kept the head down, didn't look up, didn't see his teammate, and eventually loses out to Calvin Bassey as Fulham regained possession.
Yeah, it's another big chance there for Palace. If Munoz looks up and is able to see Eze, he is through.
Raul Jimenez up to Muniz. Between them, they almost get in each other's way. Muniz goes down inside the penalty area, and the referee Darren England immediately waits for him to get up. He says no foul, no penalty. Just over 4 minutes resuming of this game until we go into stoppages. Adama Traore too far ahead of Castagna, and I think Fulham's goose has been cooked a long time now. They are trying, they are plugging away, but it is simply not happening for Marco Silva's team. They're on their way out of the FA Cup. Palace prepared to make a late change here. And while we wait for that change to happen, we'll bring you team news ahead of our 3 o'clock commentary here on 5 Live. Pat Nevin will be alongside Ian Dennis. Ian.
Thank you, Conor. Well, Celtic make 2 changes. Schmeichel is out with a shoulder injury. That means that Sinisalo will make his league debut for Celtic and only his 2nd appearance in goal. And McGregor, the captain, is back in midfield to replace McCowan. As for Hearts, they make 2 changes. Milne comes in for Khartoum, and Devlin is back after concussion for Spittle in the midfield.
Thanks very much, Ian. So Ian will be round the grounds as usual from 3 o'clock, based at Celtic against Hearts today, and Brighton against Nottingham Forest follows that. That's a 5:15 kickoff. You can listen on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. You can also watch that game. It's on BBC One television later on today. So Justin Devaney has come on for Palace. Ismaila Sarr has made way, and Nathaniel Klein has also come on in place of Daniel Munoz, who I think he's having a fantastic season. Daniel Munoz, there'll be plenty of clubs interested in his signature. Palace will be working hard to hold on to him. A goal-scoring wing-back. What team doesn't want one of those? There's Bassey here, battling on for Fulham, who look defeated though, as the ball goes out of play. A Fulham throw, but it's still inside their own half, and they simply don't have enough time remaining now. 2.5 minutes to go on the stadium clock. Maybe 3-4 minutes to be added on, but not enough to score 3 times surely. Anderson pumps it long, looking for Raul Jimenez. Over the top of Klein, but out of play. Sessegnon couldn't keep it in. And as with every restart, every throw-in, every free kick, anything like that, Palace take as long as they dare, overtaking it. So Fulham will go back to their league duty. They travel to Arsenal on Tuesday in the Premier League. Fulham's next home game here will be the visit of Liverpool. After that, it's Bournemouth away, so tricky games to come for Marco Silva's team. Arsenal, Liverpool, Bournemouth in quick succession. They're going to have to bounce back from what will be a disappointing feeling in the dressing room, I'm sure. as they listen to the celebrations of the other side, and Palace singing of going to Wembley. For Palace, they are away again in their next game. They go to Southampton in the Premier League. That's on Wednesday night. And after that, Palace host Brighton before travelling to Manchester City. And of course, they hope they will have an FA Cup semi-final on the horizon. They almost certainly will do, to put into that fixture list as well. This sunny Saturday early afternoon at Craven Cottage, where the mood was so good in the early stages, where Fulham fans really thought their team were clicking well, but it is a dream that has been snatched away from them by the ruthlessness of Crystal Palace today.
Yeah, they have been ruthless, haven't they? Every time they go on forward, they look a massive threat. They look like they're going to punish Fulham. And they've obviously done that on 3 occasions, and they've taken their chances very, very well. Whereas Fulham, on the other hand, have been wasteful in really good areas. Delivering the box at times has been really good, just not having anyone on the end of it, that's been a problem. And then from there on in, once they conceded the first 2 goals in quick succession, they just really struggled to get going again.
Yeah, the Nketiah goal, Palace's third, was scored in the 75th minute, but in truth, the game felt over by that stage already. Those 2 goals in the first half are the ones that did the damage today. Another late change here as Palace run down the clock. And Eze's going to get a standing ovation from the travelling supporters. You know, what a key contribution he's made today. He's had so few touches of the ball, so few passes, so few dribbles, but 2 enormously key moments from Eze. And after scoring for England in midweek, what a wonderful few days he's had.
Every time he gets the ball, if he does get it, he hasn't got it too often, like you mentioned. He hasn't really been that heavily involved today, but when he, every time he has, he's just made a difference. I mean, he just had a really long embrace from the manager there, Oliver Glasner. He knows how important his performance were today, even though he could have been involved a bit more, but he wasn't. That's the way the game was, but when he was involved, he was crucial.
It's not how much you do, it's the way that you do it. And Eze has put in a sterling performance here by doing the really important things well. And Fulham, for all their bluster and hard work and all the miles that they put in the clock today, charging up and down Craven Cottage, nothing to show for it. We're into the 3 minutes of stoppages at the end of the game, 3-0. The surely insurmountable lead for Crystal Palace. And Matheus França, by the way, the young Brazilian, is the player who came on in place of Eze. He has been very peripheral since joining from Flamengo a year and a half ago. But a player who's not featured much. Big hopes for him. He's been disappointed with injuries since arriving, but Palace will hope that now he's fit again, they'll get to see him on a more regular basis. Matheus França on wearing number 11 for Crystal Palace. But Oliver Glasner, funny patch at the start of this season, but otherwise, what a brilliant time he's had since coming to England, coming to the Premier League. Second half of last season, and the middle third of this season, his team have been so good.
Yeah, they have been. Yeah, his arrival was incredible. I mean, the form that they showed when he first arrived at the club was brilliant, and it was really exciting. And I think I certainly had them higher up in the table than what they currently are. That was due to the fact that they just had a really bad start to the season, and they managed to turn things around. Palace didn't panic. They stuck with it. They believed in the process, and the team has just grown and grown and grown.
Yeah, there's a confidence. There is the feeling of a band of brothers about this Crystal Palace team. They fight for each other. They are on each other's wavelength. Such disappointment to lose Michael Olise in the summer, but there is still plenty of creativity with Eze and Sarr and obviously Mateta.
Well, it was inevitability, wasn't it? I mean, I think most people expected to lose one of Olise or Eze at some stage, and Olise was obviously the one that moved on. But they've still got incredibly talented players there in their squad, and the togetherness of the side, like you mentioned, the manager, they've been brilliant, and they've deserved to be where they are and to be ahead in this game and comfortably.
All right, there's only 20 seconds remaining of the 3 minutes of stoppages. Hordes of Fulham fans already making their way towards the exits. Goal kick to Palace away to our right. The Crystal Palace fans will enjoy this, though. They'll savour every moment of it. On the verge of a London derby victory, an all Premier League FA Cup quarter-final, and a trip coming to Wembley for Palace. We just saw Hugh Grant on our monitors here, a disappointed Fulham fan today, as the final whistle blows to put Fulham out of their misery. It is Crystal Palace who go through to the FA Cup semi-final. What a roll that Oliver Glasner's team are on at the moment. 10 wins now in the last 12 games in all competitions. That's incredible form. Palace have only lost twice since before Christmas, and now into the last 4 of the FA Cup. They are the first confirmed semi-finalists. For Fulham, it's 2 defeats in the last 3 games. Marco Silva's team have been enjoying a very impressive season overall, but this has been a costly wobble now in recent games. Palace, the FA Cup finalists in 1990 and 2016. They went to the semi-finals 4 years ago, and now the Eagles are going to Wembley again. And Mark Schwarzer, they deserved it today.
Yeah, they did. The first 15-20 minutes, Fulham were very bright, good energy, high tempo, pushed Palace back. Palace didn't panic. They defended well, they were organised. And then once they kind of overcome that little bit of bombardment from Fulham, they came into the game, and then scoring those 2 goals in such quick succession. The one from nothing from Eze creating and finishing a brilliant goal, and then 4 minutes later scoring the second. That is the one that was really the hammer blow for Fulham. They've never recovered from it. In the second half, they never really didn't create enough and didn't put enough pressure on Palace in the end. But Palace, you have to give them credit. I thought they were the better side, deserved it, and they were ruthless in front of goal.
Yeah, you got to take your big moments. Palace absolutely did that today. Goals from Eze and from Sarr and from Nketiah. Fulham had 16 shots in the game, but couldn't score. It finishes Fulham 0, Crystal Palace 3.
And the noise we can hear, Connor, I'm guessing, is the Palace fans as they wait for their players to go over to them, is it?
Absolutely. They have their arms outstretched, and they're doing the cheer as one by one Crystal Palace players go up close to the fans and celebrate. It's Lacroix at the moment. This is one of their favourite hunting grounds for Crystal Palace fans. They haven't lost here at Craven Cottage since 2005, and each time they wait for a player to come, they echo that swirl. Now it's Henderson. He punches the air. I mean, what a boost for this team to go to a semi-final. We mentioned before kick-off, Mark, all the big teams that have already been knocked out of the competition. Could this be Crystal Palace's year in the FA Cup?
Mark?
It could be, absolutely. I mean, look, they're a very good side, very well organised.
They've got a great balance about them, haven't they? You know, every player plays in their right position and flourishes in that position, which may sound obvious, but not everybody does that.
Not really today, do they? No, everyone's trying to reinvent the wheel at times, I think. Yeah, you're right. Oliver Glasner's done a tremendous job. The club itself has, I think, from the top to the bottom, has been really well run. The recruitment's been excellent. You look at the team they put together, you're right, there's players in there that have got some experience, whether it's in the Premier League or elsewhere, and they've just put a squad together with, of course, some individual brilliance in someone like Eze, who can create something from nothing, can be on the peripheral for the most of the game, but then when he's on the ball, he makes a difference, he creates something. He's a very special player.
And actually, the man who ran over to start the chants with the Palace fans there was Maxence Lacroix, who you could argue is one of the signings of the Premier League season for any club.
Yeah, he's been really good, hasn't he? He's led very well at the back there. I mean, you look at their back three, Marc Guéhi, Lacroix and Chris Richards. I think just the combination, they've complemented each other really, really well. And I think even when you look at Trevor Chalobah was at the club as well, I think just the recruitment that they've brought in have worked. They've been Palace players. They've been fitting a system. Like you said, they've picked players. They've brought players in that will slot in when needed. When needed to play a certain way, that's where they're going to play. Glasner's playing with a 3 at the back, gone with it. Dean Henderson's been exceptional for them all season as well. And then if you've got, Mateta, who was quieter today, wasn't necessarily his ideal game. However, he's been phenomenal under Oliver Glasner. His goal-scoring record since he's been at the club under Glasner's been through the roof. So I think everything fits, everything works well. And it's exciting to watch. If you're a Palace fan, you must be very excited right now.
Isaac Olafe is good. He's 11th of the season, and Stockport have doubled their lead. They lead Burton by 2 goals still. And just a final one, really, on your former club there, Mark. And that is a big blow this afternoon.
Yeah, I think it was more about the first 15 minutes, 20 minutes was a really good start for them. It was the way they sort of capitulated a little bit after that first goal. Yes, it's a brilliant goal. Don't feel sorry for yourself. You've got to just pick yourself up and get on with it again. And so often we see it, teams feel sorry for themselves a little bit. They switch off for a split second. They give away a second goal. Yes, there's some really good play by Eze down the left-hand side. There's a good run by Sada in the near post. But like I said at half-time, it's not rocket science. It's a typical run that you'd expect your defenders to deal with, and they didn't deal with it. It was poor from Fulham to concede how they did. And I think in the final third as well, they lacked ideas, lacked movement. And it was disappointing. All the possession they had, all the opportunities they had, deliveries in the box, they just didn't get enough on target.
Mark Schwarzer, Conor McNamara, thank you very much. So Crystal Palace are through. They've beaten Fulham by 3-0.